Hello, good evening, and welcome to the first Formula Sprint 1 round of 2026, there we go, in Albert Park, Melbourne, Australia. Of course, it's a fantastic circuit. 29 laps feature race, 19 lap sprint incoming at this 278 kilometer circuit. My name is Edward Hunter. Joining me in commentary is the wonderful Eoin Harmon, who I've been reunited with. I feel like I keep saying that. We keep bumping into each other, don't we? And then Remco Zeeuw on broadcast direction as well. Eoin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm keeping well, Ed. Yeah, the union is back together for another season. My fourth in the booth in FS1. It's an absolute delight to be back for another campaign, one that I feel is wide open.
Absolutely, completely agree with you then, as we see practice just ending in the background. I just wanted to say something very quickly that I think is worth addressing just before we go any further, and then we'll move on to all the lovely racing action that I think we're all very much looking forward to. So obviously, some of you who've been paying attention might remember we did a season predictions video that we're probably going to refer to as being wildly inaccurate several times from a competitive point of view during the broadcast. But obviously, our wonderful head of media, Toby Davis, said something which I think he very much was sincere about, and I believe very much as well, which is that GPVWC is a safe, welcoming space for neurodivergent and trans people. Now, those of you who are watching Formula Sprint 2 on Tuesday might have noticed there were a couple of, I can only really say, transphobic comments in the live race chat directed towards me and also one of my drivers. And this person then decided to sneak into the post-race interviews and shout a racial slur, which has been edited out of the broadcast you can find on YouTube, but those of you who are watching live will definitely have heard it. So what you might also not know is that my driver has also received much worse abuse from this same person in other leagues outside of GPVWC. And I don't want to get the stream demonetized, so I won't repeat what was said, but I can only really describe it as essentially a hate crime. And I think all of this is completely unacceptable and revolting. And all I can say to this particular person, if they're indeed watching, is that I pity you, and I mean that sincerely. And yeah, it was all just not particularly pleasant from that point of view start to the season, even though there was quite a lot of fun on track action. As we see, my message there completely undermined by one of the FS1 cars binning it in the wall at high speed on the exit of turn 1. So there we go. I guess levity returns. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm very much looking forward to getting racing action underway, and I just wanted to get that off my chest without wanting it to just undermine the whole broadcast. But anyway, Owen, as you said, I think it's going to be very, very close. There are a lot of teams, a lot of big name drivers that have decided to, in some cases, return to FS1, and I think they're very much going to be the ones that everyone's got their eyes on.
Oh, without a doubt, this is absolutely extraordinary, I have to say, to see such a cohort of names come back. Certainly, the one that stands out immediately is Jack Mayer, the champion of 2023. Fantastic season for TOP way back when, and Shimon Frelick, of course, fought him to the very end. But of course, you can't rule out Alex Lahou. He's got a seat with the brand new team Hugh Performance, and you've got Chris Butcher as well. Very, very interesting to see him. But of course, the familiar names as well are ready to go, like hometown hero Scott Flack and Frank Hamming of HGP. So many great names to look out for.
There is Alex Lahou himself at the wheel of the Vietnamese Hugh Performance, which of course is a new team joining. So Alex with his teammate Alessandro Eoin will be hoping to shake things up a little bit as the only new team in FS1. All the others are either moving down a tier from Super Lights or moving up a tier from FS2, or returning indeed from FS1 the season before. But yeah, certainly it's a bright yellow with bright yellow, purple, white and black livery, so all the colors very much on this car. It's very easy to spot because you can see it from miles away. You could probably see it from space, it's so bright, quite frankly. And Alex Lahou, of course, as we know, a former not just so successful in FS2 and FS1 back in the day, but also of course a Super Lights champion. And him and Jack Mayer in the Potentia GP team, which is, of course, our reigning FS2 champions. Jack Mayer, a former FS1 champion with TOP. He is very much, him and Alex, very much expected to be the front runners. Alex Lahou, by the way, signing fairly late in the day. It was originally going to be another Alex Day, I think, on board that car. So it's fascinating. Alex sent me a message saying, oh, I might be in that car for round 2. Do you think that might boost us up your predictions? And I was like, well, it depends how many races you finish, Alex, is what I said, which was somewhat uncharitable, given the last time you and I were commentating on Alex in FS1, Owen. He didn't have an incredible finishing record, but of course he has a Super Lights title and Super League podiums, we should point out, under his belt since then. So Alex and Jack have very interesting points in their careers, and very much I get the sense almost that Jack Mayer has missed FS1, the rough and tumble, the chaos of the reverse grid race, and I think maybe that might be why he's come back.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Feels.
I know
like,
that's the case for me. So
yeah, it's
maybe
a
I'm
brand
projecting.
new era for the commentary booth as well, there's a fair few transfers and switches that we have to look out for. And of course, poor old Remco wanted to perform as the driver in the Excellion team, but alas, it was commitments to make sure the broadcast go ahead. He's he took the leadership role and said, look, if I can't source a replacement, then I have to stand up and be counted for. But yeah, Remco, I certainly honor your dedication to the series. I know it wasn't your ideal plan to take on the cameras, but it's great that you are here. And yeah, Zeeuw is driving in one of the Excellions as well, with Cedric Bill also in the lineup. And of course, the debate is Excellion and CM Tech. Who's the better yellow and blue team? It's from a distance. It's going to be a little bit tricky to tell for a while, but I'm sure there are a few design cues that'll help us along our way. There you go. You can see the blue streak along the nose. That could be a little memory
well,
cue
I
there.
think also the Excellion has blue wheels, whereas the CM Tech doesn't. So that's sort of what I'm going by. As we see Cedric Bill drifting the rear end and abandoning that particular lap as practice. Only 4 minutes left to go then. Here's another driver who I was particularly getting very excited about in the CM Tech team. Of course, Menno Collin has joined that squad, and Wopke Hoekstra is very much in charge here, coming back from a very difficult Super League campaign. We were commentating on pre-season testing. Wopke was right in the thick of the front-running times as well. I've somewhat optimistically predicted Wopke to win the championship, and Wopke responded in chat, I love you, Ed, but please don't kind of put that on me. Which is absolutely fair enough. I think if Wopke comes back and just does well, maybe even sneaks a podium or even a win on its own, I think that would be a really feel-good story after he was such an underdog last season. He had so many struggles in Super League with Green Stripes, and I think it would just be great to see him back to his best, because FS1, of course, it's been quite a while since his last win, and the Dutchman, I'm sure, will be very, very keen with his countryman in the other car as well to get CM Tech as far up the leaderboard to start the season as possible then. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about CM Tech. Others, I think, are a little bit more realistic in their expectations.
It was yourself, Toby, and Menno doing the podcast very generously there just this week. So I had that playing in work on my earphones. So yeah, really, really appreciate the breakdown of both FS2 and FS1.
But I'm sure it gave you a laugh.
So, yeah, certainly. I have to absorb the information probably a bit more thoroughly from now on, but of course I won't be coy, and I will predict the champion myself towards the end of qualifying. I'll probably just say who I think the champion will be, but I'll keep it to myself for a little while longer.
Comment here from James Knox. It says, nice to see Cedric Bill has chosen my number from last year, so the 75 lives on with Excellion. Of course, yeah, James Knox was an Excellion driver in FS2 last season. Yeah, so Cedric Bill, of course, who viewers of Formula Sim Racing will remember from his brilliant performances in FSR Pro, where he was a multiple race winner, very, very solid at saving tyres. Let's see how the Frenchman gets on in qualifying in a few short minutes' time, of course, because he'll be eager to make a good first impression on his debut. And of course, he's not the only one. We've got a number of FS1 or people with not a lot of FS1 experience, at least doing their first sort of full season starts. We've got Junio Lopez, who's currently second fastest in this practice session, about 10th and a half behind Alex Laho, which is not slow whatsoever. He's stayed with Scuderia Cap Clay, who he was the runners-up for in FS2 last season. So Lopez will be fascinating to watch. The Portuguese driver, remember correctly? He's definitely
absolutely right.
Portuguese. Yeah, there we go. Right, just flicked that out of nowhere, but it was correct. Of course, we were competing against Junio in FS2 last season, and it's good to see him moving on a tier up the ladder and looking to impress. Maybe, who knows, he could even go one better than he did in FS2. He's not got Sandeep Singh to race against this time, so he's still Sandeep Singh's former teammate Alex Laho, and Jack Mayer, of course, a former FS1 champion, as I mentioned before. So certainly the competition has not gotten any easier. If anything, it's gotten harder because there are so many big names. Let's not also forget Jack Mayer's teammate Omari Watson, another race winner in FS1, returning with, of course, the Potentia team. And Omari Watson, as he just flicks the rear out into turn, that must be 11, and then through 12 and 13 he does a little bit more grass cutting as well. So certainly he has got quite the oversteery, unpredictable qualifying setup on that car.
Yeah, definitely an interesting take. Omari would be well versed in Australian Grand Prix in FS1. It was certainly an interesting time when he was with Netrex back in 2023.
Very nearly won
for
the
example.
team's championship.
Yeah, they were very, very close. It was just a heartbreaking end, as it turned out. But another team, of course, we should not forget. It's Kaizen Kota Racing, or KKR Esports, the hometown heroes, with Tylene and Hargatai. The 19 of Tylene here should be one to watch. Definitely has his ability to win races, does Lucas. So it's a matter of, can he do it as often as possible in both the sprint and the feature format, because we know he can be a little bit of a boom and bust driver, but more often it's a spectacular drive that he can have on his best day. So hopefully Tylene will give us the consistency as well, just to make sure he can compete for the title.
Absolutely. He's won the reverse grid race here before, so we see Oliver Hargatai end the session, nipping up to P13. And Oliver Hargatai, of course, has got a lot of experience. He's driven for my team outside of GPV as well, so I'm a big, I'll self-confess, I'm a big Oliver Hargatai fan, so I really hope to see him do well. There's Alexander Gonzalez-Green, another returning driver for Boulder Racing Team. You might remember it as LEF last season. They've more BRT than LEF now is the three-letter abbreviation. I did check with Lorenzo Terovich Fun Chicken. We are allowed to call them BRT. We don't have to call them Bodal if we don't want to. Bodal sounds a little bit like Bodie, who was one of the main characters from an old 70s TV show, The Professionals, that I used to watch, old cop show, basically. So Bodie and Doyle, so sort of Bodal Bodie always can get mixed up in my mind. So I think I will stick to BRT, as we see Eoin end his session by deciding to part company with the rear wing. So let's hope he doesn't repeat that in qualifying too often.
No. Make sure you're well behaved on your cool down lap. Don't go flinging the car into your nearest barrier, please. That would be very much appreciated. So the talking can soon end. Everyone's dreams for the next 8 months or so will be put to the test in this first qualifying session. Australia is one of the best places to qualify, in my personal opinion. It delivers that sweet feeling of a very quick lap. It's definitely one of the shorter circuits, as you mentioned in the build-up there, Ed, but the corners are so fast and flowing that it's never boring around here.
Yeah, there used to be what's now just a straight run from 8-3 to 9. There used to be a little fiddly little chicane there that they got rid of about 4 or 5 years ago, essentially, and it's made it a much more high-speed track, with the DRS in that section being particularly important for making overtakes come the race. Well, there's one driver, by the way, just incidentally, before we move on and forget about it, is Scuderia Cap Clay. I think Magnus Ockenhaug, another of my former drivers, filling in for Mikea Tuomala, the team owner of Scuderia Cap Clay, who I'm sure is going to be cheering both drivers on. So, yeah, Magnus will be hoping to back up Junio Lopez, who, of course, former competitor of his in FS2 as well. So it's interesting to see all the old rivalries rekindled as well. And I think also Louis Hartley, the Scotsman, is also filling in for BRT number 77. Which would be James Juber's seat. I think James Juber was signed up for that car to do the full season, so let's hope we see James in action a bit further on. But yeah, Louis will get an exciting run out, and I don't think we've seen him since his FS2 season with Deltec a couple of years back. So yeah, and Louis Hartley, another driver that I've competed against in my team in other categories in the past, and yeah, I'm a big fan of Louis Hartley as well.
Yeah, so the rush to get on circuit now, it's a little different to have qualifying just a few minutes after the build-up. We're usually straight into qualifying, but because it's a brand new season, we want to get stuck into all of our extra information. And certainly Team Iris there, I saw one of their drivers heading out pit lane. So with the private qualifying session, there's no anxiety about having to watch your mirrors for any oncoming vehicles. So you will be able to push to your heart's content and back off where necessary to make sure your tires are in the optimal window. So Alex Lahou back in FS1 with a brand new team from Vietnam, Team Hugh Performance. It's going to be so interesting to see how he gets on. Can he put this catalogue of errors and absolute horrible luck to a permanent rest here in the first broadcast of FS1 in 2026?
Yeah, he had a bit of a mixed Super League season, but it did start really, really well last season, where he got a podium with a brilliant sort of double move. I think it was Simon Frelich and Jarl Tyen, who, of course, both race winners. Jarl Tyen very nearly stole the championship away from Loic Mounier before Loic had a brilliant end to the season, was able to seal it in the final race from Yeltine in Abu Dhabi. But of course, Alex Laho, as you say, patchy season where he started really strong with the podium, got another podium, I believe at Spa, or at least did on the road. I think so many people got penalised at Spa that I can't remember what the actual final order of the top 5 was in that particular race. But yeah, Alex Laho did have a much stronger performance there. And yeah, there was only a couple of other times really where he seemed to really get everything together, or there would be times where qualifying was always been a huge strength of Alex's. So as we see, purple for the first sector on the first lap. Not surprising since he was one of the first on track, but of course it is a private session. So none of the FS1 field, all 29 cars on track at the moment, won't have to worry about one another. So I think there's only one team that's fielded a single car. It might be, if I just look through, it might actually, no, it's not Team Iris. They've both got Philip Koenig and Christian Mautrek competing at the moment. And there's Magnus Ockenhaug, who I was talking about just before this quali session started, hustling the Scuderia Cap Clay through its paces then. Let's see, final corner coming up for the red, black and yellow machine. Can the Scuderia start off with a decent benchmark time? The Norwegian Magnus Ockenhaug towards the line. He is the first across it, 123.8, and that's immediately beaten by his teammate Junior Lopez, 122.7.
Yeah, he set the absolute best first sector according to RaceView. It has the up-to-date telemetry here. So Lopez was quickest of all in Sector 1 in this first lap. And then Sector 3 as well, he nailed it with a 35.1. Amari Watson there just a little bit, perhaps off target there, but not too shabby. As we had a look at Damien Cardas briefly. But Alessandro Iannone in the middle sector looks very strong now. Can he get another Hue Performance car in reach? Oh, not bad at all. 9th. That is respectable.
Yeah, Iannone had some real starring performances at the back end as a sort of substitute driver in FS1 end of last season. Of course, Menno Clot, I remember well, Singapore, where he spun out the lead in the closing stages of the reverse grid race and sort of handed Menno yet another victory. Of course, it always seems that Menno, I did joke that he was one of the luckier drivers, although, as we see Magnus having a huge slide through turn 12 there, I think it was, yeah, just coming through 11 and 12. And now here is Menno Clot on one of his first flying laps. 10th place at the moment, highest of the CM Tech cars, with Wopke Hoekstra only a couple of tenths behind at the present moment. So Menno will definitely want to be a bit more comfortably in the top 10, and this puts him P6. So there we go. He's definitely looking to pick up very much where he left off. Menno is one of the dark horses for race victories if anything happens up ahead of him.
Yeah, so Murray Watson, he might have been going back-to-back there, but he's in the pit lane nevertheless. And here's Frank Hamming in the previous podcasts. I'm sure we've said if he just got his qualifying maximised, he would be a top contender. And so far, his first effort with just above 10 minutes to go, it's capable of a P8 starting berth. So that's pretty respectable. But yeah, definitely great to see Junio Lopez kind of upsetting some of the narrative here, getting a Scuderia Cap Clay among the top contenders. So excellent work from Junio.
Yep, and that's of course, I think our top 4 is consisted of 4 of the new teams, or teams moving up from FS2, as is often the case. We got Emerald Hummingbird, I think, have rebranded from the team that they were last season.
Nexium Pole Team, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Nexium Pole Team. So technically new, because it's a new name. We got Rozak in 4th, Jack May of Potentia in 3rd, of course, FS2 team moving up, Alex Laho for the new Hue Performance team, and then Lopez, of course, for Scuderia Cap Clay. So it's all the newcomers that are lighting up the front. We're talking about Frank Hamming, by the way. The interesting thing about him is he's got his teammate Emmanuel Gaxella, who topped pre-season testing, and Gaxella currently 5th fastest, a couple of attempts quicker, 2 attempts exactly, quicker than Frank Hamming at the present moment, as we look at one of our former SL2 teams that's found themselves in FS1, hoping to recapture some of their form. That's Alpha Sierra. You might remember FS2 champions back in the day. Kurashevin, the Ukrainian driver, only able to go 15th fastest, 9 tenths off of Lopez's current pole time.
Oh, Koenig, that's shaving the barrier nearly, so close to a major hit, but the Team Iris can celebrate a rise up to 13th on the grid there. So Philip Koenig making another driver swap this campaign. He was with Griffon last season, and now he's found another seat in FS1, another stable presence here in FS1. But Philip, he hopes Team Iris is his new home that can deliver him more success in the championship. And there's Chris Butcher taking the other Alpha Sierra racing or sim racing car into 12th.
Yeah, but interested to see what Chris Butcher does. Definitely one of the dark horses this season, not just because his car is jet black, of course, but he was sort of the super sub driver in FS1 for so many years, where if you needed a driver that could get on the podium at very, very short notice, Chris Butcher was often top of the list on speed dial on your phone as a team manager. But anyway, Eoin Lopez improving on his personal best, setting the fastest time of all in Sector 1. His Sector 2 time has been beaten by Scott Flack. And remember, it's Scott Flack's home race here for Overpower. He's currently 10th on the grid at the moment. How dearly Scott Flack would love to win his home Grand Prix. But of course, he has got quite some competition here, and he needs to find a way to play the situation to his strengths. And Lopez, what's the line? Will he improve his pop time yet further? No, the final sector just to cover 10th off as Scott Flack go fastest, displacing Patrick Rozak.
Oh, impressive there from Scott, getting himself onto the second row. Butcher in lap time for him. He knows with more than half the session gone, he perhaps needs to make a little swap with the setup just to find a little bit extra time. Cedric Bill here for Excellion, 26th of the 29 drivers in the server so far. He needs to improve a 1 minute 24.0, about a second plus off that pole time. Let's see if the Frenchman can improve on his second attempt, I think that was, to help him up to 26 in the grid. And that's pretty satisfactory there, up about 3/10 in Sector 1 alone.
Yeah, you can tell he is learning as he goes, Cedric Bill. So I definitely expect he's going to end this season, if he does the full season, a lot stronger than when he starts it. But yeah, they're definitely learning by the laps. We see Lucas Phelan lighting up that middle sector for KKR. Can he get this anywhere near the front row? The Super Swede powers out the final corner. 6 minutes left on the clock. He gains 2 places, goes up to P6 ahead of Emmanuel Gaxella. By the way, I've figured out who the missing team effectively is. It is Gallery 82, Damien Cardas, stationary in the pit lane, and no sign of his teammate Michel Galka anywhere. So I unfortunately didn't have Gallery 82 particularly high in my own predictions, and I hope that hasn't dissuaded them, as we see Frank Hamming getting a great lap in, going to P3, just ahead of Jack Mayer then. So the battle for pole is starting to heat up, because Hamming is only about 700ths off of Lehu in second. Lehu 500ths off of Eoin Lopez.
Right, you're on Raymond Van Sust in the Alice Performance team, who shone so brightly in the 2024 campaign. Not quite able to deny Multiforce the championship that time. Was a brilliant season though, with the Bulgarian driver, Victor Ivanov. He was a dominant performer this time 2 years ago, and Raymond Van Sust hoping to bring MS Performance back to upper midfield respectability, gets himself probably close. Oh yeah, he does improve his time, but not a position. So yeah, and still.
I should also apologise to Gary too, because Damien Cardes clearly was well ahead of me and is already set the first team fastest lap. So that's definitely good news for Gary 82 fans and for Niels, the team principal, who's no doubt watching this with anticipation, as we see Alex Lehoux absolutely letting the rear hang out and then some. So clearly a little bit of frustration kicking in, because he was a whole 10th and a half up in the middle sector there, and he's putting himself under a lot of pressure to beat Lopez's pole time here. Alex looking a little bit erratic here.
Yeah, perhaps one genuine last chance, maybe two if he feels up a little higher. But Eoin here in 11th place could give Raymond a little bit of food for thought if he can find an extra 1100ths of a second, and that's definitely a great example of it. He is on target here. The purple perhaps a little off the boil there. Alex Lehoux 18.9 is the true best middle sector. Oh, similar enough. The Hue Performance car is a little lacking in grip in Ascari turn 11, and that is definitely a setup concern there. If they have too much rear end instability. That's going to be a real problem for them.
Yeah, Australia's definitely a circuit you want to. Gaxella Bennett! The wheel falls off, and that could be Gaxella's qualifying session done then. So he will go no further. The best he will start is P8 at the moment. So big hit there on debut, and that's the sort of thing where the curbs on the exit of 11 can really catch out a rookie driver. We saw it so often in FS2, and the curbs certainly haven't been, the edge hasn't been taken off them for FS1, that's for sure, as we see Lopez going yet faster through, especially through Sector 1, and a personal best through Sector 2 then. So Lopez looking to shave a tenth or two off of that pole time and escape Alex Lahou to better any lap that he might have in the back pocket. And indeed he does go a couple of hundredths quicker, 85 thousandths, the gap between Lopez and Lahou now, as it's 122.765, the time they've all got to beat. And there is Wopke Hoekstra down in 22nd now, as Omari Watson leapfrogs up to 13th.
Yeah, good work there. But now the champion of 4 seasons ago, Jack Mayer, getting a lot of grass there on the rear left, but he's able to put the pedal to the floor now, get working on this next hot lap. So not the end of the world yet. Good work through the first chicane, and just sort of let him open the DRS and get pushing. And now the real test of your lap. If you can complete this corner correctly, then you've got it every chance. So yeah, good show for the Potentia. Bit of a hit at the curb there, but that's perfectly okay. Oh, again, so close to hitting that barrier with the front left, but he's a little bit down in Sector 1. Not the worst case scenario he could find. Another tenth or two, and he's straight back into it, Ed. So I certainly would love to see more of this lap if and nothing else could take our attention away.
Yeah, and Jack Mayer, certainly he may even have one eye already thinking about the race, but certainly not at the present moment, because he's just set a very, very strong purple middle sector. No, and into the wall he goes. Luckily, all 4 wheels still on the car, so the front wing took the brunt of that one, so Jack Mayer will be able to... Oh, he's not really got time for another lap, though, so just pushing that a little bit too hard, and he will start no better than P4, as Lahou, though, still sliding the rear tyres, still craving that pole position, but it feels like Lopez maybe has got that psychological advantage. It's going to take something quite spectacular in the dying minute of this session for Lahou to nab him to the top spot here.
Yeah, I think so, but it was a work of art to see him power slide through the final corner there. Just wasn't enough to unseat Lopez for Cap Clay's appearance here after promotion from FS2 as the runners-up in the Teams Championship. But Tylene wants to bring a team with a lot of experience now in FS1 closer to pole position. He's hooking it up well. Can he secure a better starting position? No, the final sector has proven costly to him as well. Frank Hamming's turn to get out to the front row here at Melbourne Park. Can he do it?
Well, the devil's in the detail, and it is not quite enough. It is an improvement. He falls 7,000 short of Alex Lahou, who I believe is still out there, but not setting better times in the first or middle sector. Here comes Patrick Rozak in the Emerald Hummingbird, then the rebranded Nexium Pole Team squad. Rozak towards the line. It doesn't look like this is going to be a significant improvement, and indeed it isn't. That final sector just lets him down. He will start a nonetheless impressive P6 right behind Scott Flack, as I think Ragotza is still going out there for 0-1.
Yeah, it would be interesting to have a look at Alexander and get 0-1 Esports closer to a position in the top 15, which will bag him a couple of points if he can repeat it in our feature race coming up in just a few moments. And everyone should be pretty pleased with this. I know 2025 had its moments of joy and also anxiety for them, as they were able to finish in the mid-table spot. Here we go with Ragoza completing the last few turns now. Polish driver pushing as hard as he can. Can he stay stable through the final corner? Yes, he certainly can. Stays well clear of that curb, and the checkered flag waves. Alexander down. Oh, massive improvement. 8th position That is absolutely superb. Well done, Alexander.
But Scott Flack actually set a purple middle sector on that previous lap. But unfortunately, again, the final sector and the first sector sort of letting him down there, as we see Roman Van Sussen not able to improve from 13th either. So Scott Flack was, I think, just a hundredth off his best time in 5th position there. So that really shows you just how marginal it is. But all credit to Eoin Lopez under huge pressure in Scuderia Capclay's first race in FS1 in a long while, probably their debut in FS1 if I'm being quite honest, because that's pole position for him. So what a spectacular debut. We all thought Alex Lahou was going to challenge him, but in the end he will have to wait until the race to strike back. So let's go through the results of qualifying. Eoin Lopez on pole position with Alex Lahou joining him on the front row. Frank Hamming qualifies 3rd, all within a 10th of each other. So Frank Hamming has definitely improved his Achilles heel in qualifying. That is very much evident. Jack Mayer is 4th on the grid in his return. Scott Flack is 5th. Lucas Phelan lines up 6th with Patrick Rozak joining him just behind in 7th. Alexander Ragota with that brilliant late effort gets up to 8th. The former SL2 driver. Emmanuel Gaxella in his first appearance starts P9 for HGP, and then Menno Klont rounds out the top 10 for CM Tech Racing. In P11 we have got Alexander Gonzalez Green in the BRT. Alessandro Iannone in the Hugh Performance lines up 12th. Raymond Van Sus for MS Performance lines up 13th, just ahead of Emerald Hummingbird's Matthias Gazowski. Oliver Hargitay lines up in 15th. That will be the final point scoring position if he can stay there, but he has got Omari Watson for company in P16. Omari Watson will be keen to make up places there. And then we've got former FS1 runner-up and former FS2 champion Chris Butcher in P17 for Alpha Sierra. Magnus Ockenhaug in P18 for Scuderia Cap Clay. Damien Cardaz in the Sol Gal 82 lines up in 19th, and Cedric Bill was able to get within the top 20 with his final effort there on his debut as well for Excellion. Philip Koenig lines up 21st, just ahead of Wesley Stefano. Pablo Serrano on his debut is 23rd. Massimiliano Riboli in the second overbow is 24th. Vopke Hoekstra, my pick for the title, lines up 25th, so not ideal for him, but still a long race to come. Dominik Hiroshavin lines up 26th. Christian Maltrek is 27th on the grid. Louis Hartley is 28th in the second BRT, and then Juho Soppinen lines up 29th and last of our 29 car field. So certainly can't be too harsh on Juho, given that he's a very, very late call-up to be within 1.3 seconds of pole. Is not too shabby at all for Juho, of course, who's a regular FS2 driver with McKenna Racing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge undertaking to perform both the Tuesday and the Thursday race in the same week, whether that be Super League and Super Lights for one example, or indeed what's happened to Juho here. It is FS2 and FS1 together, but now, without further ado, let's take this moment for me to be honest and declare who I think will win the title this campaign. And I think I'll stick with who I had in mind from the beginning. I'll go Frank Hamming. I think it's his year at last, but we'll see.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like because there's been because he joined since we did the podcast, I'm almost tempted to switch from Vopke Hoekstra to Alex Lahou, because I think both Vopke and Alex would support that decision.
Yeah, I think so.
For various different reasons. But yeah, I think Alex Lahou has definitely got the talent to add to that super light style. Even though FS1 in theory less prestigious, I think it's almost as tough to win, and with the reverse grid races it does create that better challenge that you don't necessarily have in SL1 and SL2, where it's more of a Grand Prix, almost endurance test of just not making mistakes under huge amounts of pressure. So Alex Lahou has proven he can do it at that level, and I think very much it'll be fascinating to see him and Lopez in this first race, or whether the likes of Hamming and Mayer, or even Scott Flack as well, who was threatening to get in amongst those first two rows, whether he can maybe mix things up at his home race as well. So it's really, really difficult to predict how this is going to go, as we see, I think that's Jack Mayer just lapping Juho Soppinen, or overtaking Juho Soppinen, sorry, on this warm-up session. So clearly doing a bit of a dress rehearsal for what he's planning to do to Hamming, Lahou and Lopez come the race.
Well, that might be Alex Gonzalez Green, actually. It's one of the models, so
it is a Bodle,
BRT, yeah.
Well, he's got even more overtakes to practice. So.
Oh, he's giving it a right old go, though, side by side down the back stretch by the lake. And he will go back ahead. Very nice.
I just looked at the chat and somebody wrote just Lehu stinks. This is a stupid talented grid. It's just like almost like me supporting him is reason enough to start making comments about his hygiene, but which has nothing to do with how quick you are on track. By the way, you can't smell through the computer, so I don't think it'd be any hindrance to anybody. But anyway, this is going to be a very, very exciting season opener, I have to say, Eoin. And I really think strategy is going to be a big deal here. Whether you go pit early for the undercut, as we see it's getting very, very hectic behind the BRT here of Gonzalez Green, with the two Potentia cars desperately looking for a way through as they slipstream one another. But yeah, tyre choice will be key here, of course. I think have they redone the tyre choice rules, or is it the same as last season, where if you're in the top 15, you have to start on the softer compounded tyre? Because I know Super League have changed the rules, but I didn't remember if FS1 had.
Yeah, I didn't spot it myself, unfortunately.
But, well, let's assume it's the same.
Find out.
Unless we log in and everyone has gone for wildly different tyre compounds in the top 15. But yeah, those outside the top 15, a big opportunity for them to run on the harder tyre, do something a little bit different, and maybe try and overcut and breeze through the field on softer tyres in the closing stages as well. And there may be a couple of teams seeing with an eye to the reverse grid race and sort of seeing how long they can get the softer compound to last, so that they don't have to do a pit stop in the middle of the reverse grid race too, or if they're just going to play it safe and go with the harder compound. Because Australia, I do remember Omari Watson doing this a couple of seasons ago, where he was one of the drivers able to get the softs to last. So particularly with him qualifying outside the top 16, I wouldn't be surprised for Omari to do something different here to what's expected.
Yeah, definitely using that knowledge of the past, but of course you have to be alert to anything that may make a change to the FS1 rulebook, for example, just to make sure you have that balance. Sometimes it is better just come in fresh-faced and know what you have to do is brand new to you, so you're not worried about thinking, oh, I can just coast, or else think, yeah, I've got this in the back of my mind, it should be okay, and maybe, yeah, the rules have changed a bit, so we will figure things out as they go. So yeah, we'll see if Omari has a trick up his sleeve that is relevant to this brand new campaign, and the fact that so many drivers and teams have either come up brand new, or some have actually stuck with at least one driver, or maybe both. Certainly it's good to see the Emerald Hummingbird team. They have the exact same driver pairing as last year.
Yeah, very, very talented pairing of Rozak and his teammate as well. Is he still on the server? I was just looking for his name. It's Gazowski. Yes, there we go. Matis Gazowski still there. So one of our all Polish lines. Of course, we had quite a few of them last season, and then we had both Hyperion and Hyperion moving up, and of course Multiforce GP, sadly, our reigning champions of the past 2 seasons on the team's championship, and the drivers with Mike Quint and Matteo Micah as well. Mateus Micah, sorry. Respectively in 24 and 25. It's definitely sad to lose them, but it does mean we are guaranteed that a non-Multiforce team can win this championship, and I'm sure Jack Mayer will be determined to pick up exactly where he left off before Multiforce started dominating the last couple of seasons when he was champion. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Lots of entertaining comments in the chat, I'll put it that way. A lot of gentle ribbing of Alex Lowe saying that he was beaten by, quote, random people. Not people, one person, and I don't think Junio Lopez is in any way random. I think he's very much, he wasn't plucked out of a hat. He was very much competitive in FS2 last season as well. A couple of those, I think Thomas Smith says is supporting Overpower, and he's also supporting his former teammate Scott Flack, which is great to see. So let's see what he can do from 5th position. And is there any other interesting comments that are actually readable out on stream? Where is Apex GP, says Dominica Scarpelli. Team Boss of Apex GP. So I think he already knows the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure they are in either SL2 or SL1. I don't commentate on them anymore, so I don't know.
Certainly a fair few teams took the chance to get promoted. I know Hyperion, there was that segment in the podcast where you said the reason they got promoted was their lineup was so stellar that it was almost impossible to reject them.
I agree with that completely, but it was Toby that said that, not me.
It was Toby, yes. Yeah, I didn't want to quote exactly who said it, but yeah, it was Toby's quote.
So one of the three of you said something. Right, anyway, warm-up nearly done then, and Alex LaHoo, certainly, he was very fired up in that qualifying session. I think he said a comment to the effect of qualifying doesn't matter, or something like that. What was it? Let me try and find it. Quali is overrated, and plus, he says, can he juke up a lap GG? I don't know if he's misspelt something. I think cook up a lap, rather than... I think he's saying fair enough to Unio for cooking up a great lap there, is what I'm going to interpret that as. Okay. You need a translator to understand Alex LaHoo sometimes. I think the body language on track says more than words ever could, in my opinion. And the body language is aggressive. Love, by the way, that on Alex LaHoo's Hugh Performance car, it is a reference to, and I think KKR had this as well, road racing, Roblox racing, which Alex LaHoo used to do before he started racing in R-Factor 2. And fun fact, I've recently started just for fun doing Roblox Racing League. There's an older Formula E-Star league that I started just randomly racing in. My best finish so far is P6 out of like 11 drivers that were participating at the last race I did at Harmon. So yeah, I'm not an amazing driver, to put it mildly. I think there was like there's Super Pole, there's 11 drivers taking part, top 8 went through, and I just missed out in 9th. So that really shows you what my quali pace is like. I'm definitely a little bit better in the races, but I'm on a keyboard. So. Anyway, I'm trying to fill here, so can you tell?
Of course, yeah, 30 seconds to go. You can't see that URL just on the airbox. Similar to the old Rothman's font, I think it looks very similar to how they had to work around the laws back in the day, the racing.
Other cigarette brands are available.
Yes, of course. Ideally, do not take up the habit. But yeah, definitely the font is very, very similar. It reminds me so much of the particular font on one of the Williamses back in 1996, probably the FW 16, was it? Oh,
yeah, you would get like Damon Hill and Jack Villeneuve were just racing across their livery. And of course, Williams memorably renamed the team Williams Racing, sort of in a kind of a sly nod to that. And I think they've recently renamed themselves to Williams F1 team, because originally they were Williams Grand Prix Engineering. God, I'm sounding like Craig Patterson all of a sudden in the history of Williams. But anyways, you see Van Sust flirting with the wall and a little bit of grass there. That's the corner where we saw quite a few people going side by side and having collisions and losing wheels going into turn 12 there. So we've got to hope that we don't see turn 14, sorry, isn't it? Yeah, so we've got to hope people keep it a little bit cleaner there come the race into Jackie Stewart and Alan Prost corners.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are very treacherous parts of the track. I know Ascari has been reprofiled, and Menno will tell you all about that last year in the KKR. He lost traction on exit towards the end of race 1, I think it was, and that cost him a shot at a potential podium. So that was a great... Or it was race 2, I think it was reverse grid race 2. Menno was going for a shot at the podium, and he just lost traction and ended up missing out what he was hoping to get. So yeah, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. You've got to be very careful on corner exit to make sure keep the car pointed in the right direction. So yeah, hopefully everyone can keep that in mind, as a brand new season is just minutes away now.
Yep, still 29 cars. So unfortunately, the second car 82 of Michel Galka, I don't think will be arriving quickly enough to take part unless something truly miraculous happens in the next 20 seconds. So Damien Cardas, who led that practice session with 123.2, will be hoping to represent the Dutch squad on his own then. So I think definitely a lot of people will be supporting Gary 82s after some tough seasons in Super Lights. It is great to see them sort of trying to throw out everything at FS1 and seeing if they can rebuild their performances and show what they're truly capable of. Because a couple of seasons ago, Damien Cardas was very much a force to be reckoned with. And there's no, I said, Toby and I had this conversation. We're talking about MS performance. Believe it or not, drivers get better sometimes.
Yes.
They don't all just get worse the older they get. Sometimes they do get better. But with that said, Wopke Hoekstra down in 25th. He's got quite a lot of work to do to get some points out of this one in the second CM Tech car. So yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how he gets on. There's also the danger of just staying out of trouble in the first few laps. As anybody in the back end of the FS2 field on Tuesday could tell you, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, that's the point. All right, if you're towards the back and something happens in the midfield, then you have to be Johnny on the spot to make sure you're not at risk of getting involved in a contact that you couldn't help avoid. So you just have to be careful to make sure everything is going all right. I know there is a GIF, I'm sure, from years ago, one of the race starts here at Albert Park, that was just utter pandemonium. The cars were getting ripped to shreds as they were just getting piled into the wreckage, basically.
If from a leader I used to commentate on endurance racing on our Factor T, of somebody flipping at Sunset Bend, the final corner at Sebring. I think it was on the Abstino Force Polonia cars. There's a turquoise in the and I could either remember my commentary using a really old microphone that wasn't working very well at the time, where I was shouting it, but it still sounded way quieter than the field of LMP2s and GD3s, I think it was at the time. But anyway, looks like the grid being set then, and it will be Junio Lopez at the front of it. What do you reckon, Eoin? Lopez has got quite a lot on his plate here because holding on to pole position to turn one, if he long as he nails the start, that should be fairly straightforward. I mean, easier said than done. We have seen it done wrong in the past, but it's really going to come down to keeping the tyres alive in the first stint and sort of strategy here, I think.
Oh, without a doubt. Strategy will definitely play its part. So Lopez having to deal with so many prestigious drivers behind him. I know.
We might have to cut to a promo very quickly. On the other side, we're back for the start of race one. All right, welcome back to Albert Park in downtown Melbourne then, as the formation lap begins with Junio Lopez on pole position at the head of the field, looking to turn his first pole position, his first start in FS1 for Scuderia Cap Clay, into his first victory then. So let's briefly go through the whole grid to recap. It is, as we said, the front row is Junio Lopez with France's Alex Lahoe. Right behind him for Team Hugh Performance, Frank Hamming and Jack Mayer make up a very fearsome row 2 behind. Row 3 is made up of Scott Flack and Lucas Filin. Row 4 comprises Patrick Rozak and Alexander Ragotza in the 01 esports machine. Row 5 is Emmanuel Gagzella in the second of our HGPs with Menno Klont joining in for close company. That rounds out our top 10. Row 6 is Alexander Gonzalez Green and another Alex, Alessandro Ionono. Row 7 is Roman van Sust and Matthias Gazowski. Row 8, Oliver Hargitay in his first appearance with Omari Watson just outside the top 15 points paying positions. Row 9 is Chris Butcher and Magnus Ockenhag. Row 10 comprising of Damien Cardas and Cedric Bill, another French newcomer looking to impress. Philip Koenig and Wesley Stefano make up row 11. Row 12 is Pablo Serrano and Massimiliano Ruboli. Pablo Serrano will also be looking to make a good first impression. Row 13 is Wopke Hoekstra and Dominic Kurashavin, with row 14 being Christian Maltrek and Louis Hartley. Finally, at the back on row 15 is our super sub Juho Soppinen in the Excellion, hoping to get some good experience under his belt and maybe, who knows, to sneak a point or two if things get particularly chaotic. So then, as Lopez slowly approaches his pole position starting spot. Any last thoughts before we get going, Owen?
Yeah, absolutely. So fortune has favoured drivers brand new to FS1 in these feature races. Eoin won it 2 years ago, and Micah, who went on to win the double championships, FS2 and FS1, he got the job done last year. So let's see if Lopez can make it a hat-trick.
Here we go. Ultra soft tyres on all of the top 15. Amari Watson first on the super soft sensor. We wait for the lights to ignite, and then the cars will be released into Albert Park for our 29 lap feature race. Here we go. Lights on, and in a few short moments, we are underway here in Melbourne, and Junio Lopez covers off Alex Zeeuw, who's very, very aggressive in his starting position on the box. Frank Hamming positioning himself to the outside, but it's a relatively clean start. Flack fighting away with Patrick Rozak and holds on to P6 there, but Lucas Filin has gotten through into P5 at the start here, and Lopez under attack from Alex Zeeuw coming into turn 3 there as Zeeuw tried to go around the outside, and Lopez defending well, holds on to the lead as we see Scott Flack up the inside of Rozak. Rozak into the wall. Oh dear, he just bumps off it. That's going to give Flack the inside as they go into 6 and 7, but he just about holds on. Does Patrick Rozak. Emerald Hummingbird hold on to P6, and Scott Flack is down to P7, and he's creating a big hole in the air for Emmanuel Gaxella and for Alexander Ragozza here to attack him.
Yeah, just look at Gaxella now. He has that inside line for
Zeeuw in the lead.
Oh, brilliant from Zeeuw to take the lead at a very dangerous point of the track. And it means that Lopez has to react pretty quickly before Alex can probably put up the buffers and say, yeah, you're not overtaking me on lap 1. It is harder to overtake into cross or indeed the final corner as well of turn 14, I believe it is. So, yeah, definitely smart work there from Zeeuw to take the lead.
Oh dear, a bit of chaos behind. I think Vopke Hoekstra has fallen to the very back of the grid. There he is, so not the greatest first lap. I did say starting that far back, it's difficult to stay out of trouble. And poor Vopke, I think I've almost put the curse on him predicting him for the title, haven't I? But Alex Zeeuw, though, going around the outside of Lopez, that was a fantastic statement of intent at the probably the first opportunity to get through. He absolutely excelled there. So this is what happened to Vopke. He's right behind the second of our 0-1s, just, misjudges it, taps the back, loses control, and taps the wall as well for good measure. So that was Pablo Serrano, I think, that he tangled with there.
Yeah, definitely the bottoming out of the car on the curb made a huge difference as well. That would have already been troublesome with the dirty air. But yeah, definitely the car hitting the inside curb a little too hard. Pitched into a spin. And Lopez on the outside. Can he make this one count? He absolutely can. So return serve just meters away from Australia's fine tennis arena, I believe. So Lopez has definitely told Alex Zeeuw, yeah, I'm here to win this race, so don't mess with me.
There we go. So Scuderia Cap Clay retake the lead that they started in. So Lopez proving he is every bit the match for Alex Zeeuw at the present moment. Now, my question is Lopez Zeeuw, they can use DRS to change position as many times as they want. How much of their tyres are they using up finding each other? And how much is that going to play into the hands of the likes of Frank Hamming and Jack Mayer in 3rd and 4th, who have very much kept things steady, neat and tidy, just a second behind, not too far behind to take advantage if any opportunity presents itself then. So I think this has been a pretty good start for the both of them. But yeah, certainly Lopez. As we see, I think is that Menno and Jack Mayer in trouble. Jack Mayer falls to P15. And I think Mayer is out.
Oh, he's in real trouble.
That was a commentator's curse moment and a half there. Goodness. Just as I was saying, he's looking pretty safe. He's playing it pretty steady. He is out on the spot.
Well, he's had his trouble in Melbourne back in the day as well. It wasn't the season opener in his victorious campaign, but now what has caused him to have an early exit?
Disconnection.
A disconnection. Oh, that's devastating. Absolutely for Jack. He would have been so pumped to have a go in FS1 again, and now he has to cope with this delay that he has to get ready for race 2 with so little experience in this new chassis for the Potentia team.
Well, it's part of the game. It happened to one of my drivers in both FS2 races on Tuesday. So, yeah, it can so easily happen. But yeah, certainly not Jack Mayer's fault in the slightest. So he can, as you say, lick his wounds and come back even stronger. Maybe fight his way through to the final couple of points positions if things go well in race 2. But look at this. Lopez now leading a couple of laps. Alex Laho, of course, with DRS, fastest in the middle sector, but not able to make the move on this occasion. And now Frank Hamming with the loss of Jack Mayer. He's now got Lucas Filin to contend with as well, coasting up to the back of him here. So Lopez and Laho creating a little bit of a, I don't want to say a log jam, but some of the rest of the top 10 are slowly starting to use DRS to reel them in here.
Yeah, it's definitely a return to form.
Laho looking very close
in action. So
here we go, round the outside again, and this time he does retake the lead of the race on Lopez. Very much not fighting that one, but look at him. Oh, very wide onto the gravel. That's going to lose momentum, and that could allow Laho to escape DRS range. It could even allow Frank Hamming round the outside, but Lopez moves to the middle of the road and covers off the attack from the Dutchman here. So Hamming's been waiting for his moment, and now it's arrived because Lopez, if he's too far behind Laho, then DRS could very much play into Hamming's favour here.
Yeah, that definitely changes the dynamic of Julio's race here, so he's got to keep working and put that little setback behind him, losing nearly the full second, but it's not all gone just yet. He just has to take the first chicane correctly and he should be all right. No, oh, it's so marginal, but he's done it. He stays in DRS range, and Frank Hamming will have to look in his mirrors in case Lucas Tylene fancies a go, but alas, it's probably a little bit too early to go guns blazing for now.
Yeah, other fight that's happening, you might just see it in the background. Flack is fighting to keep Alexander Ragotsa behind him as they're both fighting to stay within DRS of Patrick Rozak, who's starting to drop back a bit from Lucas Filin P4 ahead of him. Although having said that, Filin and I think Hammond cutting up a little bit of gravel there on the exit of 6 and 7 as DRS again. You can see the flap opening up. Of course, the FS1 cars not quite the same as the new regulations in as we see hitting there, Junio Lopez. So Hamming, a little bit of contact, but he does get through there. So yeah, so we were looking back angle, and then suddenly the red Scuderia cap claim just emerged side by side. But up the inside again comes Lopez, who's not going to take this sitting down, and all this fighting is very much playing into Alex Laho's hands.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That was courageous, to say the least, there from Junio Lopez to fight back. But it does mean huge performance all of a sudden. Have a 2-second lead on their competitive debut as a
Flack hit the wall.
FS1, and Scott Flack has hit the barrier, and that'll leave him exposed for Alexander Ragosa in the 0-1 to breeze by. That was far easier than he could have expected.
Yeah, luckily, the overpower doesn't look too badly damaged here as Flack gets a great exit from turn 2, tries to get back around the outside into 3, but Ragota is a very experienced hand at this. He knows all of Flack's tricks as Flack, the rear just looked like it was about to let go of him, but he saves it brilliantly. Cat-like reflexes for Scott Flack, or Flack-like reflexes, one might say. But nevertheless, Scott, lucky to survive a couple of scary moments there, still in P7, solidly in the top 10, but now he may be getting a bit of DRS from Ragosa here, and that could allow him to go back around the outside. They need to be predictable in their movements here, and Flack back through into P6 there, so that hit with the wall hasn't hurt him too much, as there's Alexander Gonzalez Green. He's having a good run, isn't he? Very much in the top 8 ahead of Gaxella now.
Oh, without a doubt, yes. This is very good indeed. And the former LEF Auto Racing team, they had I think one of their finest hours here at Melbourne, if I'm not mistaken. Sven de Vries, I think, before he had to call it quits. I think he got his podium here, if I'm not mistaken, but I could very well be in the race 2. So if BRT, as they're now rebranded, can have Gonzalez Green fighting fit for this new season, then yeah, that'll give them a huge boost. But Gatchella just behind is a major threat as he wants to make a gain from his P9 qualifying slot. The timing tower back to my favorite screen to see the position changes since the beginning, and Massimiliano Raboli there in P17 up 7, so that is very encouraging there. as he wants to fight for some points to back up his teammate here.
Yeah, looks like Ockenhaug has had a good one, up 5 positions. I think Kurashavin has gained quite a few as well, but Gonzalez Green has gained 3, so he's gone from 11th outside the top 10, ahead of Gaxella and Klont. And Eoin, by the way, was holding up a big train headed by Gazowski and Ockenhaug as well, who, as we said, Ockenhaug made a couple of moves already, but in fact having a move made upon him for DRS as Raymond van Sust gets ahead, and you can see there, Gazowski up the inside of Eoin into the 11-12 chicane, and you can tell they're entering at such high speed, it's really a struggle to slow down. Here comes, is that Omari Watson coming around the outside trying to make a double move with the Gallery 82, just of Cardas desperately finding no room. Ockenhaug holds his nerve, keeps Watson behind him.
Yeah, and Remco has given me updated information. I said the DRS activation point was 1 second or less, but it's actually changed to 7/10 or less. So my apologies for that little error. I appreciate that, Remco. So no problems for DRS activation in this fight for the championship points, 2 for 14th or 1 for 15th. And Damien Cardas would fancy that for Gallery 82 to get their season with the single car in attendance to get their season underway with the point here. But Watson versus Ockenhaug, that'll be a very interesting dynamic to see how they get on with the lower points at stake.
Lovely livery on that Gallery 82 as well, it must be said. And as that Serrano out of the race, he was facing backwards into the wall, so I can only assume Pablo Serrano has become our 5th retirement. We've already lost Jack Mayer, Oliver Hargitay, Wesley Stefano, Juho Soppinen, and now 0-1 have lost the car. So here we go, Serrano into turn 1, the back end gets away from him as he fights with the Excellion of Bill, and into the turn 2 barrier he goes. So an ignominious end for poor Pablo Serrano. The Spaniard will be hoping for better luck in race 2. And this is what happened to Stefano.
Checking out his entry into turn 3. He's been tagged by the Team Iris driver there. It might have been Malsharek, but I have to verify that. And
I think it was Koenig, because Koenig and Butcher were quite close together there.
Of course, my apologies. And then Soppinen's race 1 activity ended here. Similar to what we saw with Hoekstra in the CM Tech. So Soppinen losing control of the Excellion in a heavy smash, but thankfully, he'll be hopefully okay for race 2, but we'll see if everything's okay with the Finnish driver, I should say.
Yep, so let's recap what's going on up front. 2.8 second gap between Lopez and Leho as Lopez does a little bit of grass cutting again under real pressure from Hamming, but he's the Portuguese driver holding up well, and to even come away from a podium in this first race, despite starting on pole position, would be a great return. But you can see DRS so powerful that he is really up against it here. He's sort of got to almost toy with Frank Hamming and play sort of a high-speed game of chicken into that chicane, which is certainly not ideal here. It can be very, very risky and can easily go wrong. So you've got to judge it millimetrically precise between where your car is, where the other car is, and where the wall is, and also make sure that you don't hit the back of it before the DRS closes as well, as sometimes been known to happen. But in terms of the strategy, Magnus Ockenhaug just getting past Omari Watson. Watson, of course, is our highest runner on the harder compound tire, the super softs. Chris Butcher and on the same strategy as well. So we expect Watson Butcher to go much further into this race before having to stop. And that could allow them to sort of maybe come into play later on an alternate strategy. There you can see hard tire denoted on the timing screen there. In comes Eoin, who's the first to pit off of the softs on lap 10.
Yeah, this could be valuable data for Lehu as well here, Ed, just to make sure he can give an approximation on how quick these harder compound tires are. So yeah, good information to have. But yeah, certainly the dynamic strategies towards the midfield there should mean it'll be very interesting to see who decides to pit first in this train of cars in between second and fifth, for example. They're very, very packed together. But Lehu with 3.7 seconds of advantage, yeah, he could pit in a lap or two and feel pretty strong about himself.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, just going around the outside of Lopez for P2, and now he's starting to storm away because he gets the extra burst of DRS on the run into Ascari there at 13 there. So Lopez now will really have to fight to stay within DRS range, because if he's at the front of train, then all of a sudden he's got to deal with Filen and Road. But in he comes. So Eoin has really gotten ahead of a rush into the pits, and Rozak follows him in.
Yeah, picking out his pit box towards the top here. That'll be Junio from his original pole position. He has the chance to regroup here, try and get these harder compound tires up to speed, and maybe use a bit of clean air. We'll see the pack behind in the background of the cameras, and Rozak here, he's pretty close. Not to be. Good effort from the crew in the Emerald Hummingbird garage, getting themselves. Oh wow, that's close. With I think it would be Louis Hartley.
It is Hartley, yes.
Yeah.
And Rozak's not done yet. Look at this, round the outside with a bit of DRS then, because he, of course, was behind Junio Lopez when going into the pits there. So that's, I think, why he got a bit of the detection point. But yeah, luckily, Louis Hartley not getting too mixed up in that. And Rozak, very aggressive, understeers into the wall, as I think Flack has made a mistake. Rogotza gets through into what is now 4th position. So I think Scott Flack has hit more trouble out there. But meanwhile, Alex Lahoe, he may wait a couple of laps before responding, because he did have a nearly 3-second buffer to Frank Cammy. In fact, he's extended that to 3.5 seconds, as we see Scott Flack losing another position to Gonzalez Green. They're still side by side. 12. Flack just backs out on the inside and avoids hitting the wheel of the BRT in front of him. So Gonzalez Green through. Scott Flack, he has had enough. Into the pits he comes.
That makes perfect sense to get yourself sorted with new tires when you're in a major fight, just to make sure you don't burn them up too much. Nano Plant here, you should be able to wait his turn. Yeah, good watching of the mirrors there.
Filen was the first in, though, of this group, and he's the first out, as well as Scott Flack emerges behind Kazowski's Hummingbird there.
Yeah, very nicely done there. So Emerald Hummingbird are now sorted. They can go to the end of this race with both their cars now. Herboli with the second overpower, able to exit pit lane. He's watched his mirrors. Hylene getting stuck in with this fight with Rozak and Lopez. So this is critical for the contest to get onto the podium, to see if there is any way of beating Lahoo today. They've got to find some sort of resolution. They've cut the gravel there. Very, very risky driving there, but thankfully the car didn't pitch into a spin.
Yeah, I think Filen came out of the pits ahead of both of them, and then obviously didn't have the exit speed coming out the pits. So Rozak took advantage and passed Lopez as a result. Now Lopez will get a bit of DRS, but finds the way blocked into turn 11, and this is bringing Filen into the mix. So for Lopez, this has really not worked out ideally. Lahoe's pace is still good. His last lap was 125.9. So still about 4 attempts quicker than Hamming. Behind him, as you can see there, I think that's the BRT struggling a bit there. Vopke Hoekstra gets up into P15 past Louis Hartley.
Yeah, that's good news there for Wapke on his recovery drive.
He's another of our hard tyre runners at the moment, essentially,
yes,
isn't he? So he's running quite long.
Right you are. So Hoekstra trying to use those tyres to his advantage as the...
careful. Nice save.
Yeah, but right behind, though, that will be Scott Flack, and he will have no interest in dueling Wapke for any longer than he needs to, and he'll go around the outside and then complete the move into turn 4. Really impressive there from Flack.
Yeah, but this is sort of the danger. Also, you see Wapke slowing right down to let his teammate Menno clump through, which is very, very sensible, given that they're not really in the same race, effectively, on the different strategies that they are, with Wapke yet to pit. But yeah, there is Lahoe, of course, and of course by running a bit longer, it means he's got less traffic in theory to deal with, other than the likes of Watson and Butcher that are, of course, running longer on those hard tyres. Then first pit box, because of course Hugh Performance, the newest team on the grid, so who has to immediately swerve in at a very convex angle, and then gets on the power on the pit lane speed limiter. Hamming will briefly lead the race before Gaxella goes through, who's running a few laps extra on the softer tyre. Lahoe should emerge then ahead of Watson. No, through goes Watson then, so it's just a matter of whether you can stay ahead of Chris Butcher which he is able to do, and it's actually Koenig that's holding up Butcher at the moment then, which is why Lehoux is now in a very clear P3, and with very little hard tyre runners to deal with it.
Right, you are there, Ed. Chris Butcher. We'll eventually see our intervals stabilise, but...
Lopez!
Oh, good effort there from Junio, but not to be on this occasion. Roszak holding on. Hopefully doesn't take any more whacks of the barrier. Turn 5 here, or Whiteford as it's known. So good job there from Patrick to make sure the car is well clear of the barriers this time.
I swear they're driving into the gravel through 6 and 7 every lap, apart from Filin, who is sort of just hoping one of them messes up, I think, in front of him at this rate, because Lopez getting the DRS off of Roszak in front of him. Oh my goodness, what have I done? They hit each other, and that is Roszak out. Lopez loses his front wing. Yeah, Roszak, the engine is smoking, the rear right tyre is gone, and through goes Lucas Filin into podium position.
Goodness me, I'm relieved it was nothing more than that, but yeah, that car is going to end up burnt to a crisp, I'm afraid, but he's just going to hang out on the edge of the circuit, so Lopez needs to pit for repairs. So this time it's not so kind for a rookie driver in FS1 here. Albert Park, he'll have to pit to change his nose, and he will be out of the points, I'm fairly sure of that, after these repairs are complete. Let's check out the action replay, Ed.
Yeah, I think a lot of frustration for Lopez. Here we go. Oh, he loses control with the DRS open. You could see the rear tire starting to go. So Lopez was going for a move around the outside, and you can see he's reacting to the kink from Rosa, and then it's about just here that it starts to slide to the left. He taps the rear tire, and they're both passengers from that point on. So easy mistake to make, and you've got to feel really for both of them, but especially Roszak, who's having such a great race out on the spot.
Both drivers completely faultless there. Just really unlucky the way the bounce on the tarmac ended up for Junio. And I'm sure Patrick would have had no idea. He was just doing his best to defend his racing line, but he ended up getting the brunt of the impact with his rear tire going onto an adventure, and then the engine blew up as well. So that changes the factor toward second and third quite significantly. A bit of a lag here on the server, so giving me a bit of a fright, but it's always one occasion a year I fall for it.
Yeah, there's a bit of a confusing moment there for broadcast direction, but it looks like everything is stabilized now as Koenig goes into the pits for Team Iris then. So that is him finally off of those soft tyres. Gaxella was passed by Scott Flack the previous lap. These two having a great fight for what could well end up being essentially sixth position once Watson pits ahead of them. Gaxella to the outside into turn 3, but that's the longest of long way rounds. He's going to have to commit into 4 here. Muscles Scott Flack off of the circuit there, and Scott Flack is not going to feel best pleased with that, and in fact he takes out his frustration on the wall and is completely round and was facing almost head on into another car there, and Scott Flack's overpower looking very badly damaged.
Yeah, that might be crabbing. The suspension might be destroyed on that overpower, and that will hurt especially hard for Flack. He has to be up at the crack of dawn each and every race week to compete here in FS1, and the fact that this is home soil for him, that must so hurt. Having put in so many hours of practice and preparation, it was just one moment here in this battle with Emmanuel, and it's just gone completely wrong. There's the first tag sending him into the runoff area, and now he's trying to take turn 5, and there's just no steering whatsoever.
Yeah, I think because it put him offline, and very well avoided. I think that was the one of the CM techs. It must be Menno that just slowed down rather than banging straight into him in a head-on collision. But yeah, Scott Flack will be feeling, I think, a little bit aggrieved with Gaxella, the newcomer there. But yeah, certainly he will come into the pits repairs and at least try and get a decent grid position ahead of race 2. But that's another damaged car along with Lopez that's going to be trying to fight their way through in the lower order of the field. Meanwhile, Lehoux right behind Omari Watson, and I think about to retake the lead from the man on the alternate strategy.
And it won't be a big fight for Amari, as he has to make sure the car is ready for its pit stop to make his strategy work. And Loic Meunier, his old teammate back in the day, says chaos in the first round already. Yeah, you can see a huge string of DNFs so far. And of course, Junio was a competitor for the podium, and now he's all the way down in last, but he does have a fastest lap to his name on fresh competitors.
I think Flack has fallen to last, as in comes Watson, right on cue. Yeah, so Flack is still in for repairs, but it just so shows him in the pits. But yeah, Lopez, as you say, has fallen to P22, and there is Scott Flack. He's going to see, I think, Omari Watson be serviced and fly right back out past him, I think, into, hopefully, from Omari's point of view, a decent position in the top 10 here. Let's see. Menno, I think, is coming through now. Then it's Van Soest and Cardass. So let's see what Omari can do in this final stint on the softs.
Yeah, here we go. He should have empty track behind him. Yeah, that's a big gap to Massimiliano Riboli. So well done from Potentia to figure out this strategy. Harder compound to the softer compound, giving Watson this opportunity. So he was on the bubble for some points, and now he definitely fancies his chances for a top 10, and maybe with a bit of luck, reverse grid pole or something close to it could be in his path if he can make these two overtakes.
Yeah, Gazowski here, we're on board with the sole remaining Emerald Hummingbird, chasing down Okanaug, who's had a bit of a fighting race. Cardass as well in P9 ahead of them by a second or so, has also had a pretty competitive run. As you can see how much Gazowski is gaining before they get to 11 and 12 there, and then because he's not really close enough to move, he has to sort of back out and focus on the next couple of laps, essentially, instead of building up to an attack. The problem is, of course, he's got Omari Watson on the softest compound, bearing down upon him at a very fast rate of knots, to use a nautical term. There's a big lake next to Albert Park, of course, but that won't be of much good to those on four wheels, of course. As you can see, Leho in all of the strategy. Here's Gaxella making another place up the inside of that's Gonzalez Green, who he steals fifth position away from. Gonzalez Green just holding on to a major moment there. But yeah, Gagzella, having disposed of Scott Flack in quite brutal order, now picking off Gonzalez Green and hoping to chase after Alexander Ragotza for P4.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure Frank in the postseason would have targeted an improved finish in the team's championship this season. He had Vin Glenn as a teammate, and he also brought in the likes of Christian Glamsetter and Domenico Scarpelli into the fold.
Whoa! Gazowski!
Oh, he smashed the barrier again, this time with the rear tire, and that will mean he will down a position. Omari Watson has made that gain automatically there, so one down and one to go for his ambition to finish in the top 10 on his return to FS1. And Gazowski still going, but this car is definitely taking a fair few licks of the barrier.
Ragotza in trouble.
Is it Ragotza?
Oh dear, he falls to P7.
Indeed.
And is he missing the rear wing? He is indeed. So he's gone in backwards at 10, 12, and 13.
Yeah, this is just
Oh, and the front wing's gone now as well.
Drive.
I think that's it for Alexander Ragotza. So a promising driver who's running P4 ahead of Gagzella. Gagzella's fallen back behind Gonzalez Green, who's in a mighty P4 for BRT now. That really shows you what's been going on here. But here's a replay of Ragotza trailing Filin for the podium. Into 10-12 he comes. Oh, the back end just gets away from him. It was a completely unforced error, I'm sorry to say. And the move being made in the background by Gonzalez Green on Gagzella at the same time. So Gonzalez Green was making a move for one position, he ended up gaining two.
Yes, by all means. So yeah, you've got to keep your head in the game. It's just so unlucky for Ragotza there to lose the traction in the 0-1 esports, and on another day that rear wing would have been able to cushion the blow rather than get detached. But that's motor racing for you sometimes. So Frank Hamming, I was just making my point there that HGP finished P5 in the team's championship last season, and I'm sure Frank thinking about 2026 long and hard. He wants to do much better than 5th place in the team's championship no doubt.
Oh, somebody else in the wall.
Spin. Is it Kozowski for the 4th time hitting the wall?
It is him again.
Oh
dear. So he's gone wide out of 12 and hit the curb where the gravel is, and then spun back into the wall on the opposite side of the track. Butcher, by the way, did get back past Philip Koenig. Unsurprisingly, Butcher on the softer tyres. So here we go. Kozowski, where's it happen? He loses it quite early, tries to save it over the curb, and it just spits him out. And the side of his car gets a hefty whack. So he is going to be driving a bit lopsided unless he goes into the pits for repairs from now on.
Yeah, will he be able to keep that car alive? He's out of the points now, so that's Dominique Korolshaven, who's collected 1 point for Alpha Sierra. So well done there. Dominic just needs to hang on in there. You can see him, teammate. Sorry there.
That's Maltrek that's chasing him down, yes.
Yes, of course, Chris Butcher's teammate. So the fact that they've got 2 cars in the points now, that's excellent news for Alpha Sierra. But of course, Malsharek in the Team Iris car won't be ruled out either. He's got a fair chance as well, just about a second off that points paying position as Watson. He makes even better work for himself now. He's up to 9th, so +1 on target.
Yeah, Ockenhaug, I think, steering very much clear, knowing that that was a losing battle against Amari Watson on the fresher tyres there. Here comes Hoekstra, desperately trying to sneak his way into the points. This could be a risky move around the outside of Hartley, but he makes it. He pulls it off. There we go. Louis Hartley, very cooperative there. It looks like Hoekstra got the exit and the DRS, so he should keep that P19 then on lap 22-29. Hoekstra's another on the alternate strategy. He's using the softs right now to try and chew through the back end of the field and sneak into the points here. But the other move that happened, Gaxella used DRS to pick off Gonzalez Green and retake that 4th position. So, yeah, Lorenzo Oterovic was maybe dreaming of the podium for a second there, and Emmanuel Gaxella has nipped those dreams in the bud for the time being.
Yeah, let's consult our action replay, and it concerns Alex Gonzalez Green for BRT through the quick chicane. And he spun 370 degrees there. So it actually ended up benefiting in one way. Thankfully, not much worse than that. Surely there will be a flat spot or 2 on those tyres, but poor old Lorenzo will have seen that and have his heart in his mouth. And we'll get a front row view of it from Gatchala's on board. Yeah, there you have it. So
Excella strategically moving all the way to the right there to make sure that he didn't get involved in any of that. But yeah, Gonzalez Green will be frustrated, but it's 1 position lost. And he's now just got to worry about Menno Klont, who in typical Menno Klont fashion has just been keeping very much to himself, staying out of trouble. And as others have hit trouble, he is slowly crawled up the top 10 into P6. And he may fancy punishing Gonzalez Green if he makes any more mistakes ahead of him. So Menno keeping Raymond Van Soest, who's himself having a pretty solid showing ahead of Cardaz at the moment as well. But now Omari Watson is very much within sight of the top 5 in these final 6 laps of the race then. So Watson will be the interesting one to watch. Up front, Laho, I think, is very much ticking off the laps, building an almost 10-second buffer now, or almost 9 seconds, I should say, to Frank Hamming then, who is doing his level best to try and match the SL2 championship winners' times at the moment. And then Filin is very much consolidating that P3 for KKR right now.
Yeah, so definitely a mix-up in our top 10 compared to qualifying with a few of those drivers we would have been excited to see in the beginning of the race. They've lost out big time. Certainly Riboli plus 11 and Korolshaven plus 12, Cardaz plus 11, and Van Soest keeping his head down, working hard. He's also gained several positions. And Watson, oh, that was close, but thankfully he is pointing the right direction. And Magnus Ockenhaug, he'll sense this opportunity to get a little bit of a return in the battle here for 9th place. So Magnus will definitely sense I could potentially get back at Omari if those softer compound tires are starting to strain just a little bit. And for the 5th time, Matthias has spun and hit a barrier of some kind. And that might be just one blow too many for our Emerald Hummingbird. But no, he will not give up.
There we go. Oh, certainly it doesn't look like a car that's particularly enjoying its experience right now. And I think the driver feels similarly. Somehow, the front wing stays on in all of that. and it looks like it's mostly steering in a straight line. So maybe whatever steering damage you had from the previous one has buffed it out on the other side, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. So Alexander Gonzalez-Green, meanwhile, is this a replay of his earlier spin again? Indeed it is. So you can see him going backwards into the gravel. Brilliant save. And this is Gazowski's similar incident at the same corner. Getting very, very close to, I think that's not Koenig. I think that's Maltrek. Oh! So fortunate he didn't hit the back of Christian Maltrek there.
Oh, for sure, yeah. The rear mirrors would have been full of Gazowski oncoming. And then it's similar to what we saw with Lopez. He made the move with DRS open. And unfortunately, the car was not able to cope with that sudden change of direction. And yeah, he will not give up. He wants to see the checkered flag.
Whoa!
Emerald. Oh no, Iannone. Oh, he's going to really bounce on the gravel trap, but he saved it. He saved it, and here comes Louis Hartley. I think he's going to make his way by also with an unbelievable jump off the ground using the curb. Oh no, it was just a run through the gravel, I should say.
And did you see who Hartley was fighting with there? It's recovering Lopez, who's not giving up on trying to steal the final point here. So, yeah, Wopke Hoekstra currently holds it on his soft tyres, but wow, it's all happening right now, isn't it? As these drivers really struggling to keep these tyres alive through that tricky chicane and to just stay out of trouble. As the rear tyres especially, I think, are starting to feel the pain of this race now. But yeah, Iannone, very he knew he knew he had to go over that curb, and you saw him get right on the brakes there. Watson, by the way, meanwhile, up to P8 past Van Soest as I say that.
Yeah, it's just such a peculiar kind of race, seeing so many incidents, either solo or involving dirty air or contact.
Oh, he hits Koenig.
Yeah,
that's what happened
contacts,
there.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was just a bit of a little misunderstanding there. You can see, they had much better momentum into the second part of the chicane, and then he ends up bouncing across the gravel trap, and he saved it before the wall would have cushioned him all of a sudden. And now Magnus Okenhag, also for Scuderia Cap Clay, he has a look at Raymond Van Soest now. This is a fair fight on the same compound of tyres. And let's see if Cap Clay, promoted from FS2, can mark their debut with a little bit of success and potentially reverse grid pole. Again, it's all down to the particular number. That's a wobble for Raymond. That might be one too many, Ed. Let's see if this overtake is elementary.
Well, he's got to do it around the outside as Magnus. He's got to turn in and hope that the MS Performance sees him coming in time. And indeed, Raymond very much does. And decides discretion is just about the better part of valor there. But now Chris Butcher is closing in upon them as there we go. That was Raymond giving the wall a bit of a kiss there. And now the gravel too. But I'll tell you what's interesting at the moment. Gagzella is lapping, he's lapping consistently faster than Filin, who's just a second ahead of him now, as we see Watson picking off Cardass with the DRS up the road, and Omari Watson now in P7. Potentially really need these points with Jack Mayer out of the picture. So Watson doing a fantastic job. Menoclot next on the hit list as we see another mistake from Raymond, and here comes Butcher.
Oh, maybe not. He felt that was just a risky move, not worth taking. 3 laps to go at the line for these drivers. I know Alex as well, on his way to his third to last lap of the evening. So he's on his way, 10 seconds clear now. Utterly extraordinary dominance from the Frenchman. And Butcher wanting a shot at the top 10 for Alpha Sierra, the champions of the FS2 campaign. Or sorry, the relegated, beg your pardon. They were relegated from Super Light, so my apologies. It was potentially
they were champions in FS2 some years ago, though.
Yeah,
so
some years ago.
You are technically correct.
A former champion, I should say.
Raymond kicks up a little bit of grass, and again, Chris Butcher can't quite catch him into turn 3 early enough. So the former FS2 champion himself, runner-up previously in FS1, looking to start the season with the top 10, but can he steal it off of Van Soest, who seems very, very keen to hold on to it for as long as possible, ideally to the very end of the race. Meanwhile, Gagzella within 7/10 of Lucas Violin. So DRS is coming into play in our third place battle here. HEP will be very keen to get both cars on the podium. And look at this, Magnus under attack as Van Soest himself trying to use the DRS to put him under pressure.
Yeah, there's so much at stake for these drivers now. And Raymond from the high side goes long and hard through the outside into Ascari. But for Stewart, it's a much more difficult corner. The gravel trap really lurks, but he's held it brilliantly. Now for the left-hander. He's got the nose and 3 wheels ahead, but not enough for Magnus to quit. He's got to battle back and go to the start-finish straight with the DRS open. This is an unbelievable fight, Ed.
Oh, and here goes
Prix.
Butcher, looks to the inside then. Magnus got the DRS, but so too did the Alfa Zero Chris Butcher, who shoves it up the inside and is able to get past the MS Performance. Now he turns his sights to the cap clay of Ockenhaug then, as Van Soest left to lick his wounds. Ockenhaug defending fairly but firmly into turn 3. Butcher can't quite get into 9th place. We are very close to starting the final lap here, and it looks like Filen has fought back a little bit, gained a 10.42 on Gagzella here, so he might be able to just about hold on to P3. But this ferocious fight for P9 is very much going to continue. Laho, though, very much on his way to a dominant victory in the end.
Yeah, we won't jinx it. Another minute and a half to go, I believe.
Oh, Butcher up the inside with the DRS, and he's got the whole car ahead, and here comes Van Soest, almost hoping there's room for one more there, but he'll have to wait his turn then. Magnus definitely not making himself an easy car to pass here. Cuts to the inside defensively. Van Soest does exactly what he did a lap or two ago. They nearly tangle wheels, and I think Van Soest is very much ahead before they get into Stewart this time.
My goodness, these 3 drivers have put on a mighty late performance for us all to enjoy. But yeah, let's see what Philipp Koenig has to say about it. He's joining the fray now. We'll check out his last lap time. It will be a 1:25.8, so he's much faster. He's had that luxury of being by himself. Raboli in 13th hasn't been able to keep up with him. So Philipp, does he fancy one more position gain against Ockenhaug, who's nearest to him, or Raymond Van Soest, who could also potentially be knocked down at 2 positions if that battling MS Performance car loses a little bit of traction?
Yeah, Gagzella back within 7/10 almost of Lucas Filin, so it could still be very close, half a second the gap as they are halfway around the final lap now. So I think Gagzella might be just denied then. Filin defending as hard as he can there, but here comes Alex Laho, one more corner to go, and he's going to start the FS1 season exactly as he would have wanted from second on the grid. Alex Laho wins race 1 here in Melbourne to start his FS1 campaign in superb style for the Hugh Performance team, who win on debut in FS1 in GPV. In fact, Frank Cammy is in across the line now to take P2, and here comes Filen. Is just going to hold off the other HDP of Gagzella for the final podium spot, and Gonzalez Green is going to celebrate his P5, sorry, just ahead of a brilliant recovering Omari Watson, who beats Menno Klontholm to P6, and then Cardas in the Solidarity 82 gets valuable points in P8, with the top 10 being completed by Butcher and Ockenhaug, who just keeps Koenig at bay.
Yeah, and that will
Van Soest in trouble. He's fallen to 14th right at the end.
Is he
there.
out of petrol?
I think he is.
Petrol.
Oh, I didn't notice that until now, but
no.
that is tragic. Because he's done such a brilliant job to stay in the top 10, and he's not even going to score any points. Lopez will steal the final point as a result of that.
Goodness gracious, we really have seen everything in this first race, Ed, and we have a sprint to go, so definitely tire strategy will play its part. We've seen good conservation work there from those drivers willing to go a little bit longer on the harder compound to start with, and then they pushed with those softs. So well done, Alex Laho. We've seen so many difficult times for him on our live cameras, including that GIF, I think, Imola on my commentary debut in 2023. It was made into a GIF, and I had a sore throat at that time. He went spearing into the catch fencing, I think it was, and that was the beginning of that difficult campaign for Alex. And the one time he won, it was when it was a race we couldn't broadcast due to technical issues. But this was absolutely no problem with our broadcast today. Well done, Alex.
Yeah, just a superb performance from the Frenchman from pretty much start to finish. A brief battle with Lopez at the beginning, but thereafter, once he broke free, there was no stopping him whatsoever, despite the best efforts of Frank Hamming then. So confirmation, Laho winning by 13.5 seconds in the end from Frank Hamming, who beats Lucas Feilenholm by 4 seconds. So Hamming at least getting his title aspirations off to a strong start. Gagzella, bit messy with the incident with Flack, which may not be seen in the best light by the Overpower team, but nonetheless, Gagzella, incredible pace to take P4 and nearly steal the podium. Gonzalez Green, despite the big 370-degree spin, recovering to hold on to P5 from a very quick Omari Watson, who goes from 16th on the grid to 6th with the alternate strategy, starting on the hards, switching to the softs for the final 10 laps or so. Menno Klont holds on to P7. Damien Cardes gets good points for Gary 82. They just beat home Chris Butcher and Magnus Ockenhaug, who round out the top 10 Remco 6 through to 10. That will be our reverse grid draw positions, I believe. Philip Koenig finishes P11 with Massimiliano Riboli in 12th for Overpower. Vopke Hoekstra from 25th on the grid goes to P13 on his alternate strategy with Dominic Kurashavin and Junio Lopez, our pole sitter, despite having that huge crash with Rozak, still gets home in P15 to take the final point. Just missing out on the points with Christian Mautrek, Cedric Bill, our debutant, along with Louis Hartley and Alessandro Iannone, with a huge incident himself, big spin near the end of the race. Raymond Van Sust sadly did not get to the end, and joining him in retirement are Matis Gazowski and Scott Flacco. I don't think did enough of the race in order to be classified as... Oh, they did 28.
Yeah, sorry.
They lapped down, yeah. So there were late retirements that caught me out there of Van Sust running out of fuel, of course. Gazowski P21, Scott Flack P22. Then our list of retirements: Alexander Ragotza, Patrick Rozak, Pablo Serrano, Juho Soppinen, Wesley Stefano, Oliver Hargitay, and Jack Mayer with disconnection, one running in P3 essentially, P4, sorry, right near the start of the race then. So it's a case really of what could have been for Mayer, and hopefully we will see him in action again in race 2. But yeah, a scintillating first encounter. Apart from Alex Laho up front, it was absolutely bonkers, it must be said. On Frank Hamming in P2 as well looked pretty solid for once he got past Lopez. But yeah, it was so much going on that I think it will be almost impossible for race 2 to top that. And having said that now, it will almost definitely top that, given how many commentators' curses there were in that race from my side, and maybe a few from yours too.
It did have a curse there for sure. Hopefully, the knowledge that people have picked up here, they will be able to translate that with the reduced fuel load and the freedom to pick whatever compounded tires they like. And they don't have to pit by order of the rules. They can go to the end if they can make the tires work. But anyway, yeah, that's a very wonderful and dramatic first race of the season. So we're looking forward to the second one. So I believe it's just about time for a break. Let's go and take that.
Inside a place of... On the next deck... Kelty seat, the coffee beanery, Tyrek.
Flat out. Oh, no! Oh, no! Who's round? It's Magnussen. Oh, it's going to be a touch moment. It's in the barrier. Oh, they spun. Oh, this is a carnage.
And Menno Klant's going to win.
It's a double pass. Could they take each other off? They don't. And Flack slide. It's a victory for the Tuties.
They touch. They're now. Oh no!
Soriano's gone around and met the wall. Mitchell will go through.
As they go uphill into turn 4. Oh, round the outside. What a fabulous move.
Frelick will use all of his as well. Here he comes. He makes a move. They touch. They run wide. And Munio's going to get it.
We're going 3 wide. Look at
Sing.
Contact. Oh, my goodness. The Tyne has lost a wheel.
Time's out.
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end.
Hello and welcome back to Melbourne. We've just had a very exciting race 1 completed, but we're not done, of course, in Formula Sprint 1 because we've got race 2 coming up in a few short minutes' time. Of course, Alex Laho victorious in the first race, but he'll be starting this second encounter from 8th on the grid, with a pole position being taken up by Damien Cardaz, interestingly, for Gallery 82. So that's going to be fascinating to see if he can get a podium, of course. What a boost that would be for the Dutch outfit. But, of course, a number of drivers had some very bad luck, not least Jack Mayer, who barely did a couple of laps before being disconnected from a very strong P4 in that first race. So he'll be keen from the very back of the grid, I believe, to make progress. And then you have the likes of a couple of others like Patrick Rozak that was taken out quite early on by Junio Lopez. They both start 15th and sort of in the outside the top 20 respectively. Scott Flack also had a big incident. So there's a number of people to watch out for that are very much out of position here, Eoin. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see with our top 8 reversed what order they finish in. I expect for the likes of Omari Watson starting quite high up the grid now. I think P3 or P4, big opportunity for him.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, he'll have a better idea of how to negotiate cars with overtakes. He definitely picked up a lot of renewed memories on how to perform that in the FS1 machinery. So I'd love to see how he gets on, having to work his way up the order. And then the fact that a lot of quick drivers had terrible luck, like you discussed with Jack and his disconnection. And then Junio from the feature race pole position from qualifying had his moment with the DRS flap. So he has to work his way up back from the very bottom. So let's see how he gets on all the way from the back. But of course, it is nice that Scuderia Capplay, it gets some healthy points with Magnus.
Yeah, Lopez, I think, did just, as I said, just did sneak into the top 15 right at the end of that first race. So with Paul Van Soest running out of fuel on the run to the line. So he's clearly using more than was in the tank of that MS Performance to sort of stay in that fight and hold off Ockenhaug and Butcher. And in the end, it proved to be a little bit too much. So yeah, MS Performance will be hurting after that one because that's basically 2 DNFs, one being quite marginal near the end there. So they'll be very, very keen to at least get some points come race 2. And yeah, certainly it was an encouraging pace-wise performance, though, from Roman Van Soest. And that was the thing they really needed to work on from last season, because their qualifying was that showed flashes at certain venues here and there. But they would... anyway, as the grid is forming up, we'll be back on the other side of our promo. So then, excitement building as we get ready for race 2 as Damien Cardaz leads away on the formation lap. 19 laps in this sprint event. How many are going to try and get to the end on soft tyres? And who is going to play it safe, go for the hards? Let's go over the grid order. Damien Cardaz and Menno Klont make up our front row with Omari Watson for potentially Grand Prix in 3rd and Alex Gonzalez Green in P4. Still looking for the BRT team's first podium. Emmanuel Gaxella will start P5 with Lucas Byland joining him on row 3. Row 4 is Frank Hamming and our race 1 winner and championship leader Alex Laho. Chris Butcher and Magnus Ockenhaug will round out the top 10 on row 5. Then there's Philip Koenig and Massimiliano Riboli on row 6. Vopke Hoekstra starts much better than he did in race 1 in P13 with Dominic Kurashavin joining him on row 7. Row 8 is Junio Lopez and Christian Malcharak. Cedric Bill starts P17 with Louis Hartley joining him on row 9. Alessandro Iannone and Roman Van Soest make up row 10. Matthias Guzovski and Scott Flack make up row 11 with Alexander Rigotta and Patrick Rozak on row 12. Pablo Serrano and Juho Soppinen will start on row 13 with Wesley Stefano and Oliver Hargitay on row 14, all hoping to go further than they did in race 1. And at the very back of the grid, it is our 2023 champion Jack Mayer in P29 and last. So Mayer with it all to do, and he's certainly going to have to play it safe to stay out of the chaos potentially that we're about to see in these opening moments.
That's right, Ed. Yeah, he'll have his work cut out. So many drivers will be eager to make up places. They know strategy is not mandatory. They can just race all the way to the finish if they prefer. So Jack, if it is confirmed that he's on the softer compound, you'll know he'll have to overtake Hargitay and Stefano very quickly if he wants to get in among the scrap for the top 20 and then work from there. But look at this lineup for Cardes. He's out of his box completely. I presume it's within the limits of the rules, but yeah, there you go. He's going very aggressive at the start.
I'm not sure if that was necessarily intentional, but certainly a wide berth to Menno Con as the lights are on, and race 2 is underway as they launch off the line. Cardas wheel spinning. That's going to give Menno Con an opportunity up the inside to look for Watson, trying to go on the outside of both of them. Watson has made a brilliant getaway here, and he gets past Menno Con into P2. Somehow Cardas holds on to the lead, and look at Gonzalez Green now. He fancies a go at Menno, rushing into turn 3. This is going to be a real pinch point for the field. Menno forces AGG to back out on the inside. Oh, they make contact. The wheels tangle, and Menno is off into the rough. Rejoins behind Lucas Filin, and Gonzalez Green is onto the bottom step of the podium then. So he, by hook or by crook, he's gotten through, and the order is Cardas, Watson, Gonzalez Green, Filin, Gaxella, Menno Con, Hamming, Leho, Hoekstra, and Koenig, your top 10. But look at them spreading out wide. The two HDPs ganging up on Menno Con, and both of them making through. And Leho is trying to make a 4-in-1 move here. Can he pull this one off into the chicane? Yes, he can. Fabulous. It's a 3-in-1 move, sorry, but not a 4-in-1, so not quite as impressive. But Leho, nonetheless, doing a fabulous overtake as there's a big spin, I think, at the back. I think Rozak is in more trouble.
Yeah, it could very well be Rozak, but that was magnifique from Alex there. That was just exceptional. But Chris Butcher has to defend now from Koenig, and Koenig will have the inside line heading into a cross curve. But Butcher now has his ability to turn right, but he is a little slow, and there's a wiggle as well, so that will help the German by. And Magnus Ockenhag could make it another 3 wide. So yeah, lots and lots of determination from these drivers. They know points are precious in these sprint races. They have to be earned through absolute
Lopez
courage.
and Kershaw then going side by side for the first couple of corners, and that could create an opportunity for Eoin, who positions his Zeeuw performance to the outside, backs off into turn 3. Lopez, muscles the Ukrainian side by side as they go towards turn 4, and it is Lopez into P13 right behind his teammate Ockenhag as Eoin gives a big smack at the barrier there, and just about keeps Van Soest behind him as everybody decides to play sandcastles there through turn 6 and 7 as expected. And Watson now right behind Cardas, trying to steal the lead from the Gary 82, and he's done it. Watson on the soft tyre picks off Cardas on the hard.
Yes, this is now Murray using that the strategy in race 1. He had to go longer on the hard tyres, so he burned up the softs towards the end to his credit. Now he has to play softly with these easier tyres or faster compound. And another battle between Cap Clay and Alpha Sierra. And this time Lopez has emerged victorious. So Carl Chavin has to accept defeat this time. Very, very impressive driving though. Both kept it reasonably clean. But yeah, Lopez, I'm sure we'll get a look at his teammate in a little while. He's going to pull well clear of the slipstream just to perform a block on Dominique, who has that DRS. But Magnus, he knows Chris Butcher well from race 1, and Koenig is defending this time in the Team Iris car.
Well, a litany of retirements in these first 3 laps, Owen. So we have lost. Unfortunately, Jack Mayer did not get any further in race 2 than he did in race 1. I think Christian Mautrek is in the pits and out, or trying to repair his car. And Alexander Rogotza has also retired. And I think Scott Flack is still running in 26th, but there are a load of drivers in the pits ahead of him. Serrano, Hargitay, Soppinen, and Van Soest. I think, in fact, Serrano is definitely out of the race. And so, as is Van Sust, actually, who we just saw was fighting for the points not a few seconds ago.
Yeah, so Raymond, whose performance in race 1 was very, very exciting to watch, and then he ran out of fuel so close to the line. So all that potential for Raymond in the MS performance has vanished for him here in Melbourne, but hopefully be back in a fortnight's time to try again. But Alex Lahou looking for the clean sweep. Didn't see it last season, and we didn't see it 2 years ago. Is he able to perform something truly exceptional in his return to FS1? Lucas Tiley will have something to say about that. That's for absolute certain.
Yeah, Lucas Fundin is probably thinking to himself, hang on, aren't I the race 2 master here? Because he's certainly built up the reputation, as we see Lopez and Kurashov, I think, continuing to fight for P13. Up the inside comes Lahou into turn 3, and Phelan almost was caught completely by surprise there. He very much left the door open for Lahou to make that late braking maneuver, and he's flying away already. Such is the latent pace that Lahou has at his disposal. And remember, Watson and Cont and Hoekstra are the 3 in the top 10 that are on the soft tyres. So Menno losing positions in the front row has been very costly for him. Whereas Cardes, Gonzalez, Green, Lahou, Phelan, Hamming, and Gaxella are all on the hards. So they know they can definitely get to the end without making a pit stop, whereas Watson may have to nurse them a little bit, so he needs to make sure. And that's why I think Watson has stayed within about 6/10 of Damien Cardes at the present moment, who is under a lot of pressure from Gonzalez Green. But speaking of pressure, our 2 teammates at Scuderia Cap Clay about to do battle. So look at this, they're being really cooped up behind Philip Koenig here. Ockenhaug, no way forward, and his slightly quicker looking teammate behind him. So what does Magnus do here?
That's a great headache to deal with in one way, because he knows this is a quick car underneath him, but at the same time, if his teammate who wants to make up extra points after losing out a little bit in race 1, he knows he'll have to perhaps play a good spirited cooperation with his teammate. So when Philip Koenig is dispatched, that might be the best time to do it. So Magnus will be entrusted the team leadership for this moment, but turn 3 was just not capable for an overtake this time.
And while we've been watching that, there's been a battle going on further up. Gaxella briefly got ahead of Menno Clont, but Clont retook the P7 on those soft tyres then. So Menno hasn't spent them just yet, but he definitely gambled going for the softs, and so far he's sort of at the back of a train now with DRS very much in effect, and it's going to be difficult for Menno to make too much progress. Mina Hoekstra, though, has passed Gaxella for P8 as well, so the CM Tech working well together, and now they've got both cars into the top 8.
Remarkable stuff there. So for CM Tech, also coming in as a fresh-faced outfit, so yeah, definitely it's great to see the new teams starting from their very first participation here today. It's great to see them fighting fit and ready for action. We got Scuderia Cap Clay have a lot of experience themselves, ready to give it an honest go as a promoted side from the FS2 segment of the pyramid. So Ockenhag again having to stay tight to Koenig, but turn 1 not really capable of overtaking spot if you're not already side by side.
Yeah, apparently there was, on the first lap through 11 and 12 chicane, there was a huge crash. It eliminated about 4, 5 or 6 drivers. So we missed that, sadly, and hopefully we might be able to get a replay of it once the race is done. But nonetheless, we probably just got to carry on. Oh no, we're in a bit of a quiet moment, I guess, while Watson still trying to extend that lead and Cardes keeping Gonzalez Green at bay. So now might be a good opportunity to sort of see what happened at the back. But anyway...
Sorry, here it is. Here it is.
Right, so this is Jack Mayer making a couple of positions. He's on the inside into turn 3. They're going 3 or 4 wide here. Oh, one of the BRTs gets spun out there. That must be Louis Hartley. And then there's, I think that's Flack just ahead of them, going side by side into 6 and 7. And then this is where the trouble starts. So that's Wesley Stefano, I think, ahead of Jack Mayer here. Mayer's going to try and use the slipstream with the overpower car ahead of them as well. And where does the calamity start? Oh, it starts slightly ahead of them.
Oh.
Excellion spinning out. Oh! And one of the Team Iris cars sent into a big roll there, and Jack Mayer just sort of sandwiched in there with very little of his car surviving the impact.
That's a huge repair bill this time around for Potencia. Oh, it's so unlucky. Nothing he could have done.
Yeah, nowhere to go, and that indeed, the flying Team Iris must be Christian Mautriek, who incredibly, I think, is still in the race, having landed the right side up, I assume. Oh, this is going to be scary seeing this again. While we've been watching this, by the way, Gonzalez Green has passed Cardas for P2. Oh. And he just gets T-boned while spinning to avoid the other incident. Absolute carnage.
Yeah, that is unreal luck in some respects.
Both overpower cars caught in that as well, so unlucky for them.
Awful luck there for overpower there. Dreams of succeeding on the beginning of the season are now in severe trouble, but Raboli is trying his best to stay in the race. In P20 in Cardas, yeah, the Gallery 82 wants to stay in this contest for a spot on the podium. But Gonzalez Green, this could be one of his finest performances since he took up a spot in FS1 at the beginning of last season. He's retained his seat at the rebranded BRT. And Laho, he's got a much better run ahead. This could be another easy overtake with no real contest with the lost momentum.
Yeah, Cardas got sideways on the grass into 1 and 2, and that was no second invitation needed. So Alex Laho already onto the podium then. Gonzalez Green, you got to think it's going to be difficult. He hasn't got Watson in front to give him a tow. Watson taking advantage of all the squabbling to pull 2 seconds clear, but they all want to be first in the train here when or if Watson starts to run out of tyres in the final few laps of this one. As you now see Lucas Phelan closing onto the back of the Gallery 82 of Damien Cardas. Started on pole position, but has been shuffled down through the pack. That's bowled up the inside. Oh, very optimistic move from Phelan there, and he forces Cardas to cut the chicane through. Goes Frank Hamming into P5.
Yeah, Frank will be very grateful for that. He didn't have any knowledge of what was about to happen, but when it did happen, he reacted accordingly, and he picks up a good position from himself. And Matthias Kozowski, a very deep overtaking attempt there against Korshavin, and luckily neither car was sent into a spin. I think it was just a case of Kozowski hitting the curb quite hard there on the inside, like Hoekstra did in the beginning of race 1. So thankfully no contact between the two drivers, and the Hummingbird stayed stable through that little rumble underneath its feet.
Yeah, and Matthias Guzovsky is, of course, on the softs, whereas Kurshavin on the hards. So that explains some of the pace differential. But yeah, Guzovsky is really going to struggle in the final stages of this race, like a lot of the soft tyre runners. So he sort of needs to make the progress quickly, but that explains why he was diving from so far back, really, on Kurshavin for P13. Then here is Leho, who has already set his sights firmly on the Boulder Racing team car of Gonzalez Green here. What can the American do? Will Leho make a sort of sting attack from very, very far back here and catch him out into 12 and 13 maybe? Here is Kurshavin, and Kozowski has actually picked him off and gotten through into P13 then. So that could be worrying times for Scuderia Cap Clay if the Emerald Hummingbird starts buzzing around them. Leho is through while we were away for those 2 seconds. Leho picked the moment to strike.
Yeah, he's very, very mercurial here is our Alex Leho. He's picking his moments very expertly. And
7/10 quicker than Maury Watson that last lap.
This definitely winds back the clock to 2023, when the battles between Watson, Mayer, Leho, Freilich, Hamming, etc. all took place throughout the season. But now Watson has to be very, very alert to what could happen very soon. So Leho going for the remarkable sweep of the 2 races at Melbourne. It hasn't happened in my memory. So is this the best opportunity for a bit of history to be made for a brand new team in Hugh Performance?
Yeah, I do tell a lie actually, because Leho was actually 3 tenths slower than Watson. I was looking at the lap before, and
Slower,
obviously there was about 2 seconds between them crossing the line, and that was when I chose to read out the lap time. So worst possible moment is Frank Hamming. Now he's ahead of Filin in the queue. He gets the opportunity to attack Cardas. Oh, it gets squeezed in the wall, and they're both around it in the gravel. Oh my goodness, Cardas cannot stay out of trouble at that chicane. Oh, one of the CM Tech cars in the wall. It's Hoekstra.
No.
And Vopgate has taken huge damage at the front, and that potentially could be curtains for his chance of scoring points here.
Yeah, it's going to be so challenging to make a second comeback drive, especially in the sprint format as it crosses halfway. Let's check out the replay. We're going to join Damien on board here. He's defending his inside line into the fast chicane. And there's the contact from behind, spinning him around. So he's able to use that small shortcut to help him out. And then Hoekstra destabilized there in the instant in front, ended up hitting the wall. So here's Hamming side by side, but then yeah, he's got nowhere else to go, unfortunately, Ed, and that's where the contact was made.
Yeah, unfortunate logo on just behind the steering wheel of Cardas is Gary 82 super space, when it was Hamming that wasn't really left much space at all. Maybe there's some sort of storage solution that could have prevented that. But here's Hoekstra, and this is unfortunately, sees the carnage going on in front, avoids it, gets on the curb, and such an easy mistake to make. And lucky he doesn't collect anyone as he's bumping back off it onto the racing line.
Yes, of course. Yeah, good avoidance. That might have been Chris Butcher, actually. Yeah, it would have been Chris Butcher. So Wopke rejoins after getting a new front wing in P18, but then it's 17 because Cardas has said enough for today. I'm out of the race. So that allows Wopke position gain, but he has work to do if he wants to take Louis Hartley's point away. So he has a good 14 seconds even just to catch Alessandro Iannone for 16. So Louis Hartley, let's give him a shout out there, getting himself into P15 pretty solidly by himself at the moment. So yeah, keep working hard, Louis.
Certainly BRT need all the points they can get with Gonzalez Green in P3. Hartley, if he could nab the final point, what a brilliant story that would be for the young Scotsman. But Iannone, 8 seconds behind, and then Hoekstra, there's still enough time if they lap quickly enough to catch him. And Louis Hartley in the 1:26.2s, though, significantly quicker than Iannone, who may, yeah, you can see him in the background, possibly have suffered a bit from the early phase of the race. All of them on hard tyres, apart from Hoekstra, who's just pitted, of course, but he is about another 13 seconds down. Looking at the battle up front, Laho versus Watson. The soft tire still working well for Amari Watson, and this is something he did previously in 2024. He beat Victor Ivanov using this strategy, actually. Was able to overtake him on the first lap using the soft tires, held his position in the reverse grid race, and I think finished P6, I think, instead of P7, essentially. And yeah, he's learned those lessons well, and it is a little bit nip and tuck between them, but now we're getting into the business end of this race. Laho on those harder compound tires should be a bit stronger, so Watson has just got to live with a little bit of rear instability here and hope that he can bring it home. Then Gonzalez Green has done incredibly well to still be within 8 tenths of Alex Laho as well. Within 4 tenths, actually, indeed.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. 3 drivers definitely working their socks off here, and they've all got different ambitions for the season ahead. Definitely Alex with the least experience of the 3, I'm fairly sure to say, to have him working so impressively with that gap over Tylene. This is really, really good to see. It makes the unpredictability of the campaign true to life, I will say. So you haven't.
When you say Alex, that doesn't narrow it down between second.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, Alex Gonzalez Green. Yeah, AGG.
I assume that was who you meant, but you know,
It was,
I didn't
yes.
want to feel like we were damning Alex Laho with faint praise. He's been here a while, but anyway, yeah, certainly it's a new team, Hugh Performance. If they can get a first and a second out of this, that would be amazing. But if there's a sniff of a win, Laho is going to steal it. So Watson needs to very much be on his toes here. And you can see the gap, 2.2 seconds. It's come down a couple of attempts this lap. Laho senses there's an opportunity. He might start taking big risks to try and close in and get within DRS range.
Yeah, that's the key now, to try and get into those 7 tenths that the new rules specify that you need to be within to have a shot of DRS here in Formula Sprint 1. And it's not looking too hopeful at the moment. So this podium battle is fairly spread out, but it could all change. Menno Clont there and Gacella, Emmanuel Gacella. That's a battle worth paying attention to.
It's Hamming he's fighting.
I beg your pardon, yeah. So Gacella and Clont are close, but Frank Hamming is defending. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So let's see what the HGPs can do with Menno Clont ready to scrap to get CM Tech another strong result after some bad luck there for Wopke Hoekstra.
Yeah, but the thing is, Menno actually had sort of worked with Wopke. Wopke was ahead of him when he spun as well, and they were sort of in between the two HGPs. And now Menno's very much got to face front and rear guard action by his lonesome at the moment, as we see a yellow flag briefly that clears. But yeah, Menno, if he times it right here, he could use the softs to get ahead. But it's just, is he going to be able to hold on in the final phase of the race? That remains to be seen. But here we go. He gets the slingshot around the outside, and Frank Hamming leaves enough room for Menno Clont to take P5. And Lucas Phelan is not too far ahead of them, only about 1.7 seconds. So there's every chance Menno could maybe bring himself into the fight for P4 here.
Yeah, that is definitely a potential here. So his former teammate Lucas. Now that would be an interesting situation to deal with. So they worked together for that single season at KKR, and now they could be rivals again. So let's see how the HGPs get on with Emmanuel Gacella. He's looking pretty solid there. It was a good lap at 125.7. Of course, having to watch his teammate lose a position will focus the mind a little bit more, and that was a case of, yeah, I'm very unfortunate with the understeer, but I caught it just enough to be able to complete the corner. So yeah, it's happening again. He's missing his apexes at the moment, Ed.
I think he got a bit sucked in there when he so a bit of mistake from Frank, of course, but yeah, he's got Chris Butcher right behind him. So experienced, and it's got such a glittering CV as they all flirt with disaster through the exit of 6 and 7 with the gravel, and Chris Butcher kicking up a bit of grass as well in the Alpha Sierra for good measure, so he won't be leaving any fractions of a second on the table here. So yeah, Gacella, I think definitely you get the sense after missing out on the podium to Phelan in race 1 with a little something to prove here, but he needs to be careful that he doesn't leave himself vulnerable to Butcher. Lopez not far behind either, 2.7 seconds. He's actually done well to clear, go from P15 to P9 at the moment.
Yeah, right you are. So the top 10, a bit more spread out, but Aukenhag, he was very determined to get himself the higher amount of points for Scuderia Cap Clay in race 1 after Junio's horrible piece of luck in the feature race. So yeah, Magnus to get a double score for his team bedecked in red, that would be quite the achievement. So if he can get a top 10 off Mateusz Gazowski, then yeah, that will really cheer the garage, bring cheer to the garage, I should say. So this is very impressive from both the Scuderia Cap Clay drivers, and a little wiggle there, but it's okay. But Hoekstra, this is his comeback drive yet again. And Eoin, he's got oh, that was close.
He was trying to drive through Eoin and then through the wall there, which is probably very, very aggressive, but he has got the softer compound tyres and the fresher ones, having pit for them recently, up to P16, and now free to chase down Louis Hartley, who is 15 seconds ahead, but he's only got 3 laps in which to do it, as we see Gacella being picked off by Chris Butcher with the DRS, and that's exactly what we warned might happen. The other thing that's happening is Laho is setting personal bests. Lap times was 6/10 quicker than Watson last lap round, and the gap is below a second now almost. So Omari Watson is really got to find something here, because Laho is at the moment looking good to make it 2 wins in a row here with the pace that he's got. So Omari needs to find some way to keep that Hugh performance in the rearview mirror.
Right you are. Let's take note of how the Hugh performance actually stays on the circuit through the first 5 corners, that compile sector 1 pretty much. That looks very nice indeed. Yeah, we'll see the G-forces pushing Alex to the left briefly, and now to the right. That's very, very good indeed. Split times coming right up, and Laho has gained another 1/10 of a second using extra bit of gravel there just to keep the car performing as it should. So thankfully, it wasn't a big error. It was just a case of the car being able to push faultlessly, despite going a little bit wide, but it was absolutely fine. And yeah, this battle for first position is going to heat up.
It certainly is. Lowe's got the time to do this, but Watson may well start driving defensively. But it's a case of these softs are very, very worn at this point, and Omari Watson has done the best he can to conserve them and keep a little bit of his powder dry for this moment. But it is still in a place where the harder tyres are the ones to be on at this point in the race. I think Menno, a bit further back, is still within about 4/10 of Lucas Feilin, and of course he's been a bit more in the pack. He's decided to save tyres, whereas Watson was trying to build a little bit of a gap so that he had a bit of a buffer for this phase of the race then. And Watson, if he just keeps nailing these apexes and not leaving any time on the table, then he might have a chance of at least going into the final lap ahead. But this is going to be crucial now, this build up to the DRS zone, whether Lehoux is going to get the run and how hard Omari is going to defend this.
Yeah, that's the great challenge that separates victory from a runners-up position here in GPVWC. So Alex quicker again in sector 1, so he's within the ideal range nearly now. Yeah, so close. And what he's got to do is just follow the race leader until it's time to go for it. Final lap almost here, and that definitely looks like Watson missed his ideal line, and that will give Lehoux another boost as Menno Clant has made the overtake on his former teammate in a double quick time. That was really expertly done by Clant, and now he's got the factor Frank Hamming to deal with as well. So 3 cars battling for P4.
Oh, Feilin just surviving on the curb there as everybody's using the limits of the traction of these tyres here, and they only got one more lap to do, so no need to hold anything back at this point if you have it in reserve. But yeah, Watson just half a second now between himself and Alex Lehoux. Lehoux is going to have one shot, I think, at stealing this lead, and he's got to make sure he doesn't make it slip through his fingers here. But Watson will be throwing everything at him.
Yeah, just one more lap to go until we bring round 1 of 16 to a close here in FS1 to complete the first round of both. Well, Academy had their run last Monday, then it was FS2 on Tuesday, now FS1's turn. The final curtain here, Albert Park, and Lehoux is using the...
Watson breaking the toe.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Lehoux has to go for it this time or else it's all over.
Oh!
Oh, double.
Oh, he hit him!
He's gone for it. A bump and run attempt, but it's not to be. It would have been very unlikely to complete scrutiny there, I'd say. It would have been taken away from him in the steward's room. But Watson has dealt with the greatest haymaker of them all. And he's so close to this first victory since coming back to FS1 himself. So here we go, Ed. Can he do it?
Oh, almost certainly. Oh, a bit of a desperate dive there. That was never going to work. But for Omari Watson, he held on despite huge pressure. He wins race 2 here in Melbourne to begin his season brilliantly. Alexander Gonzalez-Green P3, but the leaders so nearly took each other out on the final lap, and we could well be talking about BRT's first win then. Nonetheless, Feilin does get back ahead of Menno Clant. We missed that, I think. And they both beat Frank Hamming as Gazowski just misses out to Magnus Hockenhaug, who gets back ahead into P10 in the dying phase of the race. So marginally missing out was the Emerald Hummingbird, but Gazowski a much stronger race 2 than race 1, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, plenty of action, a lot of tension and uncertainty regarding the race win there, but great performances from all of our top 3. And yeah, I do wonder, maybe Menno's softs just must have faded right at the end there, and that let Feilin back through.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential factor here. And now Cedric in the Excellion will round off his debut weekend, or evening, I should say, with P19 here in the sprint. Malsharek is perhaps just on the periphery of being lapped. So we'll double check that in a moment. But yeah, well done, Cedric. Good performance from yourself today. And he'll be pleased to get that sort of opening day nerves off his chest, and he's ready to go for the rest of the campaign, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's probably not too far away from the point scoring positions there. So it's all about getting experience, as we said at this point, and getting a few finishes under your belt. As we see, this is what happened to Rozak. Rozak, interestingly, did set the fastest lap, 124.304. And this is, I think, how his race ended. Yeah, in quite a brutal fashion. Oh, hitting the wall so hard it lifted into the air. And that Emerald Hummingbird, well, we did see the Hummingbird fly at least, but certainly it won't be a day that Patrick Rozak will remember particularly fondly, especially after the collision with Lopez while fighting for the podium in race 1. Here's the fate of Wesley Stefano. Oh, just cutting across the gravel. I think Stefano did finish in P13, did pick up some points for MS Performance, crucially. So that is good news for him. Here's Philip Koenig, who I believe got it home in P14. Fighting away with Kurashavin and deciding to go wide and into the gravel. So that very nearly was how the Watson-Laho battle ended on the final lap. Luckily, they both somehow not only bumped into each other with minimal carnage, but also kept it both on the road at high speed under incredible pressure with decaying tyres. So a really exceptional fight for the lead. And that confirms the final results. Potentially take their first win in FS1, their first win of the season, with Alex Laho making it 2 podiums in a row to emerge from here as our clear championship leader. 2 Alexes on the podium though. Lorenzo Tovic-Fungic will be absolutely delighted to see Gonzalez Green round out the top 3. Now, is that Gonzalez Green's first podium, I believe? I think we did say it at the time.
Yeah, he was close, I think, once or twice last season. But this definitely...
Okay, well, it's only his first podium of this season for Bodal Racing Team.
Yeah, we can confirm
so
that.
We'll go with that because we know that's true. But a very strong drive by the American, I think it's fair to say. Lucas Violent recovers up to P4 after a very close fight with Menno Klont, who beats home Frank Hamming. Had to start with a P6 this time. Chris Butcher, good charge through the field by the Alpha Sierra man. He takes P7 with Emmanuel Gaxella in P8. Then our top 10 is rounded out by Junio Lopez recovering in the cap clay ahead of his teammate Magnus Ockenhaug, who just beat Matis Guzovski for that final top 10 spot over the line. Nonetheless, that's Emerald Hummingbird's first points for P11. I think 4 of them for that position. Dominic Kurashavin gets 2 Alpha Sierras in the points in P12. Well, Izzy Stefano also gets a few points for P13, with Philip Koenig taking 2 points for Team Iris in P14, and Louis Hartley taking the final point of the day also for Bodal Racing Team in P15, just beating out Volker Hoekstra, who spun out of the top 6. Alessandro Iannone, who was driving very wounded for Hugh Performance in that race, still got it home in P17. Massimiliano Riboli P18, Cedric Bill P19. A lot of these drivers involved in the huge crash at the beginning on the first lap, 3:11 and 12. Christian Mautrak rounding out the top 20, who I believe was our final finisher of the race. Patrick Rozak, of course, crashing out quite spectacularly, as we saw. Damien Cardas, so unlucky for a pole sitter, getting involved in that huge incident with Hamming. Well, they just didn't leave each other enough space. Scott Flack, again, the Australian, not having the luckiest start to the season, but we will see him back for Suzuka for round 2. Pablo Serrano also not making it to the end, along with Oliver Hargitay, Juho Soppinen, Raymond van Sust, Alexander Rogotza, and Jack Mayer. Who would have thought Jack Mayer would make it all of half a lap in race 2 and then maybe 4 laps in race 1? So incredibly bad luck for the 2023 champion, and he'll be another one that I'm sure will be keen to put today behind him and fight back in a couple of weeks' time for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Oh, for sure, Ed. Yeah, a few drivers will have to accept today was not their day, but it is a very, very long season. And right on cue there, we have our calendar for the 2026 campaign. So Suzuka is next in 2 weeks' time, the 19th of March. So it'll be a nice Patrick's week for me there. So I'll have the Tuesday off work, which is very, very pleasant. So I'll enjoy that. But serious business will get underway in April with 3 rounds in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Malaysia. So 5 very, very different but exciting circuits to prepare for in the next, I suppose, 10 weeks. So let's enjoy that. But of course, it's time for the interview segment.
Indeed it is. I actually feel quite bad about I'm going to be commentating on go-karting at Silverstone on 19th of March, so I won't be joining you for Japanese Grand Prix, sadly, Eoin, but I will be back for pretty much the rest of the season after. Anyway, let's move on to the interviews. Thought I'd just cover that in case people were wondering where I was going to be. Who should we talk to first, I wonder? Shall we go? We got Eunice Corrala, who I'm pretty sure wasn't in the race. We got Alex Laho, who won one of the races and finished second in the other. And then we got Soppinen, Lopez, and Ockenhaug. Alex tends to be pretty patient. Shall we talk to a pole sitter, Junio Lopez, and hear what he has to say about his race? Or races?
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, let's have a chat.
We're now joined by Junio Lopez from Scuderia Cap Clay. Junio, a brilliant pole position lap. First off, let's make sure we mention that. I know race one was a little bit tricky for you. Nonetheless, despite all the issues, recovered to the final points playing position, and then a solid drive to, I think it was P9 in the end, in race 2 from 15th on the grid then. So all in all, a bit of a mixed debut, but impressive pace on your FS1 full season debut at Cap Clay.
Yeah, it was very encouraging, I have to say. I wasn't expecting to get pole, especially knowing that Alex was racing and all of that. So it was a good surprise, I think. It showed that that there's space there, but I mean, as you can see from the races, there's still a lot of work to be done, because even without the crash I had in race 1, I was losing to Alex and to Frank in the first stint, so still a lot of work to do race-wise, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Owen, do you have any questions for our pole man?
Yes, indeed. So, Junio, taking the step up from FS2 to FS1 this campaign, I know we've seen the likes of Mateusz Majka just a year ago make an extraordinary double step run, as well as Jack Mayer back in 2022, 2023. So, how did you feel making your FS1 debut? Did you think it was a worthy step up for you today?
I mean, as Edward said, it was a bit of a mixed day, I feel like. But I'm happy. I have to say I'm happy because I last year in FS2 it was very good with Sandeep. I feel like that battle was cool, even though sometimes there wasn't as much effort. This season I feel like there was a bit of effort from myself, at least, to try to bring something to be competent, I would say. As I said, I wasn't expecting any top pace, but which I'm very thankful that at least in Melbourne it was the case. I'll just say let's see for the next round. Not many expectations, I would say.
I think to get pole position, that's more than just competence. That's exceptional effort, and you could tell we were watching qualifying. Alex, whenever he's messing up his laps trying to beat you, got very, very annoyed, even though he pretended he didn't care about qualifying in the slightest because he won the race, of course. But yeah, so you got that minor psychological advantage if you want it. But anyway, thank you very much for talking to us, Junio, and best of luck to you and Cap Clay for Suzuka in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys.
So long.
All right, who shall we chat to next? I reckon Magnus Ockenhaug. Let's go for his teammate and get Cap Clay covered. All right, we're now joined by Scuderia Cap Clay's filling in driver, or emergency driver, I should say, and someone I know very well, my good old friend Magnus Ockenhaug. So 2 very, very solid drives to the top 10, Magnus. You must feel satisfied with that.
Yeah, the only thing I can feel now is the wrist hurting from the forced seatbelt, because ever since 2016 I have a nerve damage in my left arm. The stamina in my left arm is not as good as on the right one, so you can compare me to the Robert Kubica.
What? You're sounding more like an Aston Martin driver, the way you're describing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, we know what there's a Honda engine in the back of that Cap Clay then. Anyway, it looked like you were pretty much battling throughout. Race 1, there was, I think, a freeway fight, wasn't there, for the top 10. It was you, Van Soest, and somebody else as well. It was Chris Butcher, wasn't it?
Yeah, Butcher, yeah.
Yeah, so my plan was to stay in DRS Delta to Who's that? Not Chris. Who's that other guy?
It was Raymond. Francis.
Oh yeah, Raymond. Yeah, I tried to stay in the Delta because I knew that Chris was on a faster strategy. But unfortunately, it got past an end, so it was like a final lap scrap between me and Raymond. I think I had better tires towards him because he was sliding a bit all over the place until I managed to get him. It wasn't on the final lap.
He ran out of fuel on the way.
Oh yeah,
line as well,
yeah.
so
I
he
remember
didn't
now
score any
because
points.
he suddenly stopped on the pit entry, or like slowed down. So that was quite a lucky moment. It was all about, I would say, stay on the track and not off it, and just put in those consistent laps. I think I only overall did like 2 hours worth of practice before this race because it was like a late call-up. So I just told Junio, my teammate, that there was no pressure, just do what I usually do. So like I just let the result come for me instead of trying to force the issue, and in the end it actually worked out.
Indeed, and then race 2, you were sort of not fighting, but you were sort of working together a little bit with Junia in the early phases, and then you were fighting against it was Matthias Guzovski, who was on the softer tyres, of course. So they started to fade towards the end. You just beat him over the line. It did look like his tyres were falling apart, and you sounded like you were a bundle of nerves by the end, given how bad the shape your hand is in.
Yeah, I think, on the last lap I managed to get him on the outside into turn 12. We went side by side into turn 13, and then I managed to just have the grip on the outside in the last corner to keep into the line. So like that was a very satisfying feeling.
Brilliant to hear. And also sort of while we're here, I'll just say well done on scoring some decent points for Fox Esports as well. So I wish you the best of luck for your FS2 campaign, assuming you're going to be not in the cap play for the rest of FS1, and that Mikael is probably going to come back, I assume.
Yeah, from what I know, Mikael will be back for round 2. If I was to be called up as an emergency service again, like I won't hesitate. Like I wouldn't mind having another go because tonight I really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. That's what we love to hear. Oh, and any questions for Magnus?
Yeah, I suppose, was there any particular overtake of yours today that was a special highlight for you? Do you have a favourite?
I quite liked that last lap on race 2. Like I was behind him all the way, but due to dirt there and tire wear playing a part, like it was hard to get past. But when he had that little slip up out of turn 10, was it turn 11? Like you know the big curb on the outside, then that was my time to strike, and I had a good feeling about it. And in the end, it turned out to be the right one, and it was quite fun in race 1 as well, like trying to keep up with the pack and just get pulled along, I guess. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely a photo finish there. It was great to see the action all the way to the line. So, Magnus, thanks so much for answering my question, and best of luck with your next drive.
yeah, thank you.
And thank you for talking to me as well, Magnus. Anyway. So, as we let Magnus Ockenhauer get back to enjoy his FS1 Hall of Points and focus on his FS2 campaign, shall I talk to the man who got Bodil Racing, the team principal of the Bodil Racing team, Mr. Lorenzo Aterovich Vanjik, who you may recognize from FS2 commentary and Academy as well, I believe. So, Lorenzo joins us mid-sentence. Sorry, Lorenzo, I should have given you a heads up. But welcome and congratulations on Alexander Gonzalez Green's podium in race 2 there. Obviously, big moment for him to start the season off in such a strong way. But of course, he was so strong in race 1, and he survived a very scary moment through turn 12 that Remco treated us to several angles of.
Oh, the Scott Flack one.
Is that what it's called now?
No,
the one
that's
he
not
spun.
12, is it?
No.
Oh, that. Yeah. When
Okay. It depends what track maps you look at.
The
Yeah.
360. Yeah.
The one behind
whether
the
whether
Leclerc
it's
Cellar. Yes.
counterclockwise or clockwise. But no, yeah, race 1. Obviously, Alex was a bit bummed about what happened. He thought that he had the pace to catch Lucas Foylan himself and challenge for the podium, but he got it in the end. So who cares? It's round 1 of 16. It's race 1 of 32. We have time, and I think we have the quality this year as well, to challenge for more podiums and more wins. I said, actually no, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself because I said that last year as well when Sven got P4 in race 2, and then we had a whole year of misfortune and revolving doors in the driver seats. But no, yeah, I'm absolutely happy with Alex today. Finally, luck went to his side after a whole year of whatever 2025 was. I'm happy with Louis as well because he was called up basically yesterday, and he hasn't driven on our Factor 2 in about a year, and that was with touring cars as well. He said himself he's not as well equipped in open wheels as he is with touring cars, but he got points in the end, so good season opener. I'm happy. I'm so chuffed.
Oh, that's lovely to hear, Lorenzo. And of course, we're very, as you say, Louis doing a very good job to just nick that final point, despite all the chaos that was going on at the beginning of race 2 that he miraculously sort of steered clear of. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing James in the car as well when he gets his season underway as well. Even though Alex, quite rightly, as you say, taking a lot of the spotlight today. And any more questions for Lorenzo before we let him go?
Hi, Lorenzo. Yeah, I suppose a quick one. Yeah, Suzuka, I have to think long and hard about how that one went for you last year, but is there any particular, perhaps improvement you can think of from last year that you could keep the momentum rolling?
Considering how Suzuka went last year, I think points would be an improvement, and I think points are possible to achieve. So, if we get double points again at Suzuka with James and Alex, then, I'm a happy man. I don't see ourselves challenging for anything inside the top 3. Top 5 if we're really lucky, but I think this is going to be a solid mid-table season for us, and hopefully a better one than 2025 was, where we were, again, a revolving door for drivers, and we're battling 3 other teams for P12, I think it was P11. See, I already forgot.
Okay. 12 or 13. Yeah, it's 13.
Oh, yay.
Hey, you're beating that at the moment. It's all about progress, baby. So
exactly.
So thank you very much for talking to us, Lorenzo. It's always lovely to chat with you, and I'm sure Bodal Racing Team, with its new identity, is going to keep that podium under its belt and go from strength to strength in the races to come. So best of luck for Suzuka in a few weeks' time.
Thank you.
All right. I know Yuho was in the race. I don't remember seeing him once other than qualifying in the broadcast. I don't know what I would ask him. Should we get Alex Laho in? And then maybe we've got time for Yuho.
Yeah,
he's been waiting a while.
Yeah.
So now joining us is our race winner for Hugh Performance in race 1, and it's so nearly took 2 in a row, just beaten by Murray Watson with a great fight on the final lap, in the final couple of laps actually, and an incredible performance, Alex. Obviously, the frustration being missing out on pole by a narrow margin to Junio Lopez. You trade positions with him early in race 1, and then once you broke free, he never really looked back, and you really took the race by the scruff of its neck and won by about 11 seconds over Frank Camming. And then race 2, you fought for way from 8th on the grid on the harder compounder tyre, and just missed out to Omari's brilliant time management, although it was very, very close. And I'm sure you've probably got some thoughts on both one or both races to tell us there. First off, well done on signing for Hugh Performance and delivering a very, very late call-up, because I know you told me, I might be in the car for round 2 onwards, so I bet you're glad you're in it for round 1.
For sure. Hello guys. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty happy for today. Omari W. I mean, that just happened, but yeah, he did a great job managing the tires. The pace was good as well. He was running on 25.5, which is optimal on this tire, and he had quite the gap thanks to the batters we had behind. Couldn't quite set up a lap in qualifying. I just set the 0.8 and that was it. I couldn't improve for some reason, although my PB was a 0.6. Yeah, the setup was very race oriented, as you could see. The 3-car overtake I did on race 2 on lap 1. The strength and speed was just ridiculous, and I'm very glad I went for this philosophy of setup that worked out really great, and here I am, championship leading.
Yeah, certainly. Could not have really gone all that much better for you. Owen, do you have any questions for Alex? Because other than just saying well done, I'm sort of at a loss for words.
Yeah. Hi, Alex. Would you mind taking us through the last lap of race 2 with Omari? Because it was a great piece of action to watch, even if it was Omari's time to shine rather than yours. So, what was it like?
Oh yeah. Basically, from like lap 10 onwards, I started to lock in, deafen. Did the same lap every single lap. I was expecting Omari to drop off a bit earlier than what I saw. Eventually caught up in the final lap, but the thing is, there was an action. The both of us, I went a bit too much on the left when I started going around him, and he opened up the steering, so that's like 2 and 2 doesn't go well together, so I hit his back. I got damage from this, but I was not gonna overtake him like this. It would have been extremely dirty and not useless, so one does not simply overtake Omari when he's leading anyway, so he deserved it.
Certainly not the most chaotic thing that happened in that chicane during that race, or even during either race, to be honest, but certainly the one with the most stakes, with the win up for grabs. Anyway, congrats Alex on a superb return to FS1, because I'm returning, you're returning, and you seem to be on top form. I don't know what people think about me. Better not to look, I guess. But it's always lovely to talk to you. And yeah, congratulations. Let's hope that Hugh Performance car keeps racking up the wins and podiums.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. And I wish you a great Roblox race this weekend. If you have one. And,
I don't know. I think I might be doing go-kart and commentary in Sunderland, so it might be a bit difficult for me. Oh, actually, I'm doing commentary on Le Mans Ultimate on Sunday night, so maybe there's time when I get back in between. We'll see. But anyway,
time management.
You have a lovely weekend. Oh, it's train journeys, man. It's 5 hours on the train to Sunderland. Anyway, you don't need to know any of this. Thank you very much for talking to us, and congrats on the win, the podium, and being the championship leader.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, I dedicate the win to Loic because it's his birthday today.
Oh,
he's 24,
birthday.
old man.
Happy you anniversary.
My goodness. You think 24 is old, man?
Anniversaire.
Joyous Noel, that's Christmas. No, well, happy birthday to our reigning Super League champion, Loic Moynier, then. Soon to be FSL World Champion. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
That's you, of course, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna just bitch
anyway.
Loic easily.
Sorry, I'm sorry, couldn't resist. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Alex. I think we just about got enough time to talk to Yuho, so we'll let you leave with your trophies and your champagne.
Yeah, go ahead. Good night, guys, and see you around. Bye-bye.
Right, we just... Sorry to talk over Alex there. We've just got enough time to squeeze in Excellium Motorsports Super Sub. It is Mr. Juho Soppinen, Super Soppinen, as some call him. Obviously, our broadcast director is the man who has been obviously watching your car of interest. We saw you do a pretty admirable job in qualifying, being, I think, was it 1.4 seconds off a pole in the end, Juho, despite the late call-up. And then... I must confess, I didn't see a whole lot of you in either race, but I assume you had a lot of adventures out there.
Too many adventures out there. To be fair, once again, I still have a lot of hospital trips going on, so that's why I was this time a bit more off the pace than last year. But well, to be fair, race 1 was fun. I had a great start, an excellent start. I wish I could show that on stream, but I mean, it was an amazing start either way. And well, after that, it just went to shambles as well. When I did the same line, I just lost it all of a sudden, and it was a light tap into the barrier, but then the suspension just completely disassembled itself. Race 2, we were all strong. Everything was fine. Hartley had a moment. Then there was one of the Emerald Hummingbirds, but then it was Cedric that got the worst of the lap one's incident. I was the one jumping over the grass every time, and I managed to avoid it by millimeters. That huge pileup, and then all of a sudden in race to lap 2. For the second year in a row, Raymond Van Soest has a crash with me, and then we had a small pileup as well once again. But yeah,
that's unfortunate. I think we were still watching the replays from the first pilot when that must have happened. If memory serves.
Actually, you guys were still watching the race.
Oh, okay, right. Okay. Lot going on, like we said. But anyway, that is unlucky, Yuho. Obviously, if Remco has to broadcast a few more of these races, there's every chance you might be called up to drive for Excellion again. Would you be excited about that, or are you more excited about getting back to FS2?
To be fair, it's more balanced at least. At least for the Thursdays, I have time to eat a burger.
I mean, you've got your priorities in the right place, clearly.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yuho, I'm sort of out of questions. So, Eoin, anything to add before we let Yuho go and end the stream?
Yes, indeed, Juho. One quick question. Did you have much chance to work with Cedric? I know you came in very late, so was there any chance to have a chat with Cedric and plan for the race?
To be fair, early in the pre-seasons, we had a bit of chat as well. We worked together, but then of course now because I've got a surgery on in like 7 weeks' time and got some doctor's appointments to go through. Then I didn't have time to work on the FS1 and FS2 grid as well. So yeah, hopefully after the surgery, I'll just drive one-legged for at least 2-3 races, and then after that I'll be back on strong form. And yes, I've driven one-legged before.
Remco, look at what you're putting this man through. He's going to be driving high on anesthetic on the operating table in a hospital at some point. That's the end game of this. My goodness. And Remco just saying, for those who can't hear, that Yuho took one for the team. I don't think it's fair to say. But anyway, Yuho, it's always lovely to talk to you, and best of luck with all of the operations that you're undergoing at the moment, because it's not easy, whatever the reason for the operations. Yeah, we hope you make a full recovery, and we always love seeing you on track. So see you again soon, and thank you for talking to us.
See you again soon.
He's holding up
best wishes.
He's holding up a picture, I think, of a Ferrari F1 car.
No.
Oh no, it's not Ferrari. It's a Motorfloss. It's from GPV Day, of course. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the tiny window. Couldn't tell. Right. Anyway, so as Yuho Soppinen is left to put his leg back together as well as his car, let's unpack Eoin. What's been a very, very exciting start to FS1. Of course, we still got SL2 and Super League returning in a week's time, of course, which I know everyone's going to be very, very excited. So we're not done quite yet with Australia. But yeah, certainly Formula Sprint 1, it is Alex Laho, the latecomer hero, that is leading the championship, and Omari Watson, the only one that could fend him off today.
That's exactly a very impressive return to the series for Alex Laho. To drive as well as he did in both races. He knows perhaps the one thing that got away from him was the pole position award. That would have made it a clean sweep. But yeah, you have to say the Scuderia Cap Clay team came fighting with Junio and Magnus, so they've definitely earned a few fans today, no doubt in my mind. So we'll see how the momentum carries on for Suzuka. But yeah, no doubt about it, the effort that goes into pre-season preparations up and down the grid to get the mod ready, to get the stream deck ready, etc., etc. It really does, go a little bit, in the background, but I know everyone is very appreciative as well. So it's great after the months off, we're fully back and raring to go for this 2026 FS1 campaign, and for the other top 2 tiers, they're also looking forward to their turn as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Brilliant work that everybody does at GPV to keep the show on the road, keep the new website running as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
And as you say, of course, SL2, that's Tuesday, the 10th of March at 7:15 GMT. That's Toby Davis and Alex Folks, who did the mod for all of the Super Lights and Super League cars, and Fabian Youngbluff will be on broadcast direction for that. SL1, that's 12th of March, Thursday, 12th of March, 15 minutes early at 7 p.m. they get going there. And that is, of course, the wonderful Caitlin Penny and Ross McIntyre, of course, you may recognize from Super Lights last season, with our very own Remco Zeeuw being called into service on a Thursday once more. So, yeah, definitely all to play for. Lots of big drivers yet to really get their iron to Albert Park. But from me, Edward Hunter, from Eoin Harmon, joining me in the commentary box, Remco Zeeuw joining us in broadcast direction, and everybody else here at GPVWC, thank you very much for watching Formula Sprint 1. We've got 15 more rounds left to go. We'll see you in Suzuka in 2 weeks' time. Well, Eoin will anyway. And bye for now. Goodbye.